3 days of live action over the course of this week have brought us to this point. 370 teams at the start of this process, and we are down to just 6. 2 grand finalists in each group. And before we go any further, you need to know you can head to originseries.com right now and sign up for the July qualifiers to get involved and maybe find yourself a spot at the July monthly finals. We're bringing it back to today. I've got 2 gentlemen with me who are going to run me through all of the action. Please, for the first match, I got TJ and I got Hells. Hells, you've been with me a lot. TJ's been dancing around with casting and stuff. I'm going to come to you first. This week as a whole has been fantastic. This day, the grand final day, surely it's something special for the fans at home.
I mean, wow. Literally, wow. Look at all the series. They're just all so exciting. Tribe Queso, Nova against Unicorn, Cuddy Sports against the Sunlight team. Every single series. I'm just looking forward to every single game today.
And TJ, you're looking very stoic at the moment, but I'm sure you're excited on the inside.
You know, I can't let it show on the outside because the most exciting thing to me is that these are all rematches. Literally every single one of these teams has played before and played before on broadcast, which means that, first of all, I think we're getting a good sense of how these teams play, but more importantly, the teams are getting to develop counterplay to each other, and that's where the good games always come from.
Teams have to keep developing their strategies, TJ. You're absolutely right. But we also need to know what goes into making a good team. And thankfully, we got a few players to give us that insight.
I think when it comes to being a top team in Wild Rift, the 2 most important things for me is 1, having the drive and passion just to be able to pretty much spend all of your time thinking about ways to get better, help your team get better. And then I think the other thing is just kind of letting go of your ego.
And Tribe surviving as a 4-man team, and with that 6, they should get the Inib Tower.
It could be really hard to hear, you really messed this up, but sometimes that is just how it is, and you have to be willing to take that criticism and learn from it.
Gonna get some damage onto Snitch, but Snitch able to just barely eke his way out of range.
You need to have a good player who put pressure on the lane. You need to have a good macro game, a good synergy with all of your teammates.
I think it's good if your leader has a good brain. Baluz has a great brain.
He's in the pit taking a 1v1 versus Matt as the rest of the team is now getting pushed away.
He needs good synergy, a lot of work, a lot of hours, and work together. It's not a single game. Work with your teammates.
And it's a really important one to take, as we mentioned before, like the combination of the Infernal and the Cloud.
You need to be able to be flexible with the amount of champions that you can play and make sure you practice every single day and you'll be one of the top contenders.
That was the perfect lane to get the tower in early on here for Reason.
Macro is the biggest part.
I don't see a good way for Luminous to get back into this.
And if you have the macro right for the early game, that can snowball. In this game, it's so hard to come back from when you're behind.
I think they're feeling so confident. They want to close off the game. They want to make this series.
Communication is always the difference between solo queue and the pre-made games. This is definitely the most important part.
A good friendship between all players is a must. One of the biggest things.
We are full friends. He's nice as well because we can speak fluently.
Oh, Kalisto took so much damage and the fight just barely began.
We lost so much. Some defeats, it's for sure. Surely it's gonna happen to you. I mean, it shouldn't stop you. If you wanna win, you should win.
Unicorns of Love, they're gonna go for it. We said it, you do not want to sleep on these guys.
Soutenez-nous et let's go. Fuck Carnage.
Well, let's hope they can practice what they preach as they look towards future months of the competition, as well as some of them in the grand finals today. Let's go ahead and pull up the bracket and see where we're at after 3 days of action. Starting off with Group A. I think what we need to look at here, Hells, is Team Queso's journey, right?
Yeah, for sure. They won like every single game except against Tribe Gaming, of course. And they made it a really close series against Tribe Gaming, of course. And to get back to that winner's bracket, they absolutely demolished Grim Real Betis.
And when we look over to Group B, TJ, Trovo Nova, I know you're a fan of this team as well. They also have suffered the same fate of being dropped down to the lower bracket and climbing back up to the grand final today.
Yeah, and this is part of the journey for Trovo Nova. They're a team that historically has been dominant in the mobile MOBA scene in Europe, but here in Wild Rift, sometimes they've not even been part of the conversation for top team. I need to see them reclaim some of their former form, and that starts here at the Origin Series.
And of course, last but not least, we're going into Group C, but we're actually going to cover these first. Sunlight Team and Cut Esports, as TJ said, another rematch coming in here. Hells, the performance yesterday, that 30k gold lead was absolutely obscene in that game one of the lower bracket final.
Yeah, wow, 30k gold lead. And it all really started with Cut Esports absolutely dominating the jungle in the early game. So I'm really excited to see what they're going to do in today's finals.
Yeah, and speaking of yesterday, the Trovo Nova Mortal Shot series, I think that one of the things that stood out to me is how well Poseidon and Vex are playing together, right, TJ?
Yeah, and that's a really good sign. But it's interesting to me because it is reversed from how it used to be. A lot of the playmaking that's happening on the map compared to historical Nova Esports, which was always centered around Vex, is this time and this iteration being centered around what Poseidon does on the map. We did see a very strong performance from the two of them, combining to use the Twisted Fate to travel across the map and initiate or close out fights, while Vex on the early game mechanical dominant character Lee Sin was able to flex some of that mechanical mastery. If Nova want to win today, it needs to be a repeat of that. It needs to come majority from those two players.
Let's go ahead and pull up today's schedule, take a quick look at all the matches we're going to be seeing. We already highlighted that Trovo Nova is a team to watch. They're going up against Unicorns of Love. We have Tribe Gaming versus Team Queso to close things off, but we're going to bring it back to our first game of the night. It's Sunlight Team versus Cut Esports. And one of the things that's been most impressive about Cut Esports for me, Hells, has been this jungle pick. It's been Eric Boss and in the jungle, especially with that early efficiency.
Oh yeah, with that Evelyn pick, and if you saw yesterday's game, you could see how he was clearing the jungle, which is something that we haven't seen with many teams. He was clearing like many jungles at the same time, getting that level 5 super early, while the enemy jungler was still at level 4, clearing the red buff or something. He would get the scuttle, he would gank a lane, and he would absolutely dominate the jungle, and with that, dominate the game as well.
And just getting ahead of our first series, let's take a look and chat with the teams about this grand final they're about to play in.
But we didn't think that we didn't think we would reach this point. But with hard work and we practiced a lot. We finally here.
And that is going to be Sunlight once again stealing that game out of the grasp of Cut. Baby just gives up. He's like, man, I'm done.
The game versus off meta was really so hard. Like we were playing like very tensioned, and the game was quite hard. Like
this is crazy. Off meta are going to get another kill, just handed to them.
If we lose it, we would quit from the tournament, but actually we could play versus him very good, and we could like stomp them at the first game.
Hit one more snipe, that's the kill. The body slam secures it. That is once again a dominant performance from Apollo. Sure, he dies, but that's still another huge pickup for Sunlight.
I mean, we know them. They sure know us. So what we are trying is to find a new play style, new champs, a new strategic. We are working on that. We want to surprise them with a new style.
It might be the game closure kind of moment if they can get a huge push in mid currently.
And inshallah, with Allah helps, we gonna make it. Bismillah.
Actually, being for Sunlight again, it's quite nervous, and it's too like we are very enthusiastic to try to win this game too, because you know we lost from them in the last game, so we want to take our revenge actually.
Okay, let's play this final.
It's great to hear from the players before they hit into their grand final. Before we dive any deeper into that matchup, we'd be remiss, Hells, if we didn't talk about Team Queso and Cream Real Betis from yesterday. And a particular pick that we've been noticing Team Queso bring out a lot is this Rakan.
Oh yeah, they've been picking Rakan almost every single game with a lot of success, as you can see, of course. And they are really able to play around that Rakan pick. They're doing it very, very effectively. And when they can, they're also picking that Xayah, which obviously gives those bonuses in between these two, between the love couple. So yeah, we're gonna have to see what they're gonna do with that combination against Tribe.
And I just want to highlight who's playing that Rakan for Team Queso, because it's another one of these veteran mobile esports players in Memorized, who has been one of the top support players in European mobile esports for a very long time. historically the core of this Team Queso roster playing in other titles was kind of capped because they kept running up against Nova Esports, who were at the top of the region. But guess what? Nova are in another bracket, at least for now, so I can't wait to see what Queso can do here.
Well, if they want to have that clash, they're going to have to find a way to get to the main event, shall we say, at the end of the monthly finals, where they can hopefully meet and have that showdown. I'm sure everyone's going to be excited for that one. A lot of love being played over to the support and the duo lane, but Hells, I'm going to bring it back onto Team Queso once more, because there was a standout player we haven't touched on from that roster. Their jungler, Andre, dominated yesterday, took over the game and had some unreal kills, gold, and just map advantage over their opposing men.
I mean, what a god. Honestly, what a god that player is. Like, I'm telling you, he's the single reason that I've become a Team Queso fan. Such an amazing player. Like, in yesterday's game, you could see in one of the games, at minute 16, 8 kills on Andre. Just everything about this player is perfect in a jungle. And I really feel like Queso is completely relying on the jungler as well. They're always playing around him.
Okay, so I'm going to ask some difficult questions now before we get into the nitty-gritty of this one. I'm going to come across to you for each of the series and try and get some initial predictions, okay? So,
right.
Hells, first match, Cut Esports versus Sunlight Team. What are we expecting? Just give me a result, give me a scoreline, and 1 point why you think that's going to exist. And if you need to think about it, I'll go to TJ first. I don't mind.
No, I got it. 2-1.
I can go first. I'm ready to go. Let me go first,
Go to Hells.
Chief.
He's already going.
2-1 for Sunlight Team. I feel like Cut Esports has improved a bit, but Sunlight Team is just absolutely dominating.
TJ, that's why I wanted Hells to go first, because I knew you'd have a reaction to it. So now, give us your pred, TJ. What are we expecting for game number 1?
My reaction is frustration, because he didn't go far enough. Sunlight Team 2-0, they have such better map control. If you pause any frame during the last 2 games that Sunlight Team have played on broadcast, and you just look at where the wards are, you look at where the vision is on the map, Sunlight Team have the entire map lit up like a Christmas tree.
All right, and for our second game, Trovo Nova, Unicorns of Love. Are Trovo going to be able to rectify their mistake? Hells, what's the scoreline we're expecting here?
Oh, that's a really hard one. I think Nova's going to win this one. The game that they had before was really close, and I feel like they're going to come on top on this final.
2-1, 2-0, what are we talking here?
2-1.
2-1.
Won a long series today.
TJ?
I feel like I'm agreeing with him, and there's something inside me that's rebelling against that. But I do think Nova are going to come out on top. I would lean towards 2-0 because I feel like historically this has been a team that gets a playoff buff. This has been a team that is able to rise to the occasion, play a little bit more serious. And I felt like I was seeing that yesterday, where their team play was tightened up as the stakes grew higher. This is finals. This is the Origin series. The stakes don't get much higher, at least for now.
And very quickly, because we're running out of time before we jump into the first game, Group A's matchup. Team Queso going up against Tribe, the rematch. Hells, I just want a winner. No reason. We'll get into it later. Winner. Team Queso, Tribe Gaming.
Queso.
TJ?
We agree all the way down the bracket. Queso.
Queso again. We love to see it. All right, let's jump into game 1 of the grand finals. This is the last chance to be able to secure a first place finish in the first ever monthly finals. We're taking a look at Group C first. We've already highlighted one player from Cut Esports, Eric Boss, and I wanted you to just touch again on the jungle efficiency that he was able to have in yesterday's games and what we're expecting to see from him today, Hells.
Oh yeah, it was the early jungle clear, which not many people thought it was very important, which got him that mini advantage, which he completely abused and snowballed the whole game. I want to see that again against Sunlight Team.
All right, and for you, TJ, you've been harping on about the ward control. Is that really going to make it that much difficult for that early dominance to come in from a pick like the Evelynn, who can often circumnavigate around this vision control? Does it matter that much if they bring the Evelynn for Cut Esports?
I would say absolutely, because good warding actually stops Evelynn dead in her tracks. Good warding is more important against Evelynn because she can walk up behind you if you don't have your vision set up. In terms of the jungle battle, I think it's going to be very, very hard for Boss to replicate what he did yesterday.
All right, well, we are into pick and ban. I'm going to let you two take this way away as the bans should start flowing in. General or target? I know we've seen the Akali ban in Group C before.
Renekton and Olaf. These are picks that Sunlight team have absolutely dominated with. So I am expecting a target ban like that from Cut Esports.
I agree with the focus on Renekton. You know I'm an Olaf hater. That's like one of my core personality traits. The characters I think are generally powerful right now and teams should be looking at removing are Kai'Sa, are Lee Sin, that sort of thing. But here in Europe, it's a little bit more focused on top laners, solo lane carries, and that's why I think the Akali and the Pantheon and the Garen are getting that kind of focus, because it's very much about individual players' play right now, and I think that's reflected in these bans.
Wow, they have left so many power picks open in this game. Like the Camille is open, the Renekton is open, the Olaf is open, the Seraphim Varus combination, which both teams have abused, is open. Everything is open. The Evelynn is also open.
Is that the Lee Sin's open, TJ? I heard someone shouting from across the room, very faintly.
Somebody else said that. I don't know who said that.
Was it you? No, you didn't say it though, did you?
No, somebody behind me. We do also have Gragas here as well. I think Gragas is one of the most powerful solo lane picks right now. Obviously because he's a very good teamfight champion, but also because he can be flexed. This can be jungle, this can be mid, this can be top, so little is shown about your composition by drafting a Gragas. One thing that combos very well with the Gragas that I would love to see come out here for Sunlight team, but I don't think we're going to see here in Europe, is Jarvan. If you draft Jarvan in the jungle, then you can kettle on top of the bombs. You can get the explosive cask set up for very easy combos. You can get like a Ziggs, Rakan, Jarvan, and have a really good time. But again, I don't think we're going to see that. Sunlight team have tended to go a little bit more aggressive in their junglers. You're talking about the Olaf.
Yeah, and I really want to talk about this Gragas pick real quick, because Gragas is not only a solid pick, it's also a counter to Evelynn. Here, they're basically saying, you're not going to pick Evelynn. No, we got the Gragas, you're not going to pick Evelynn here. And you can see that Cut Esports also picked the Renekton, and even though they don't play a lot of Renekton, it definitely shows that they are somewhat scared of the Renekton from Sunlight team, because they don't want to be playing up against it. And the Ahri is also open. They haven't picked a mid laner yet. Ahri is open, Cut Esports, and they still picked the Evelynn though. They still picked Evelynn, which I find very interesting to see, because Sunlight team can easily respond to that Evelynn pick.
Sunlight team have drafted a teamfight composition so far. That's what's standing out to me. More specifically, it's a big Yasuo composition. You're going to have the Rakan, you're going to have the Gragas, which are very good setups for the Yasuo, and generally they will dominate the teamfights if you draft scaling AD carry here. I would look for something that can, like the Varus, that can last till the late game. Nasus is a core part of this composition because you can leave him alone in the sideline. So you have the core 4-man teamfight, and you'll run 4-1 across the map, with the 4 taking the teamfight, the Nasus running up the sidelines, chewing on turrets. I really like the Sunlight draft.
And the Camille actually came in as the last pick there, Hells. Just very quickly, I know you're a fan of this pick.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I still prefer the Sunlight draft miles over the Cut Esports draft.
All right then, well, draft going over to Sunlight team. That's all from the desk. We're going to throw it over to our casters, Desert2 and D-Man, to take us through the action in Game 1.
Thank you very much. Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. I love those pick and bans, by the way. Derry, we've just been sneakily talking about it behind the scenes. The Pantheon target ban after that double Baron steal in that one game where it's Scoundrel and you were just losing your mind.
It was actually Max in that game, to be fair, to Gibbon. However, I agree that, I mean, for a start, the fact that they played TF and Pantheon so much and seeing those two be the target bans away, absolutely love it. Really trying to shut down on that kind of global nature of the comp. It's really interesting to see. I'm hoping Cutter got something special coming into it, because after that last 2-0, they've got to buck their ideas up.
That's exactly it, right? They're coming into this one. It is a revenge match. I think they're pretty much all revenge matches tonight as well, which is really interesting. Obviously, all coming through the winner bracket. So clearly the best 2 teams within the groups. But for Cut, you know, they're happy to be here. They're happy to try and challenge it out. And in fairness, in that game where they did lose those 2 Barons, effectively, to the Pantheon, which was bizarre, they were in control in that game. So they absolutely have a chance here.
That was exactly it, right? You look back at the kind of record books and look at how the games played out, the score line, the time of the games. It reads as a really dominant Sunlight victory, but as you mentioned there, those 2 steals coming through massively turned the game around. It wasn't like they were hard losing Sunlight in those games, but you steal 2 Barons. Doesn't matter whether you're looking at Wild Rift or if you're looking at League PC, we all know how drastically that can change the outcome of a game.
Yeah, and there's no really shyness from Sunlight of what they're really going for. They want the knockups. They want to get the Yasuo going. They're going for a big invade as well. 5 stacking. Let's see if they're going to go for this one. Waleed just off to the side might be able to spot them before they go in. But it does look like this invade in the end is going to be a passive one, and they'll back away.
Well, we saw it happen yesterday in Nova's first game where the Olaf came charging through the jungle, and guess what? It was the easiest first blood of Vex's life. Proceeded to bully the Olaf on the Lee Sin, and before you knew it, running away with full control of the game. Nothing really to be said about a response coming from the other side. So glad there's a little bit of pass enough to kick things off here. No doubt as you see things shape up, though, it's going to be these nice, slow, early starts, especially for the Eve. We know just how terrifying she can be when we get to level 5. And the Death spoke a little bit about this comp being centered around the Yasuo mainly. You're looking for those big combos coming out of the Yas and the Gragas together once we start getting towards those level 5 marks.
Yeah, I mean, we know that Baby or Babe or Bab-A, I think Xgandra called him yesterday as well at one point. Bab-A, yeah. So I'm just going to call him the Babe, because he's on the Renekton. We know he's going to be a strong tanky beast, no doubt about it in the mid. But yeah, as you talk about, obviously for Yasuo, this isn't what he's looking for. He's not looking for the lane jewel. He's looking for the wombo combos later on.
Yeah, I think Yas at the minute is actually not too bad in the lane. Like, not so much oppressive, but he can be against the right players, especially against melee ones in this case. But I think against the Renekton, as all have seen back from the League PC days, if you ever used to play that, this is not going to be a fun time for the Yas, even with Renekton being in the slightly weakened state that he is right now, compared to what he was back on League PC.
Oh, hello. Joe's coming looking for this one. Apollo should finish off the Scuttle Crab beforehand, and he's going to easily get away with that one. Got himself the double buff already set up there as the Camille came hunting for it. So Joe at the moment going to be in that top lane. He's set himself against, obviously, Waleed. Now for Waleed, well, we know what Nass is all about, right? Just build up those stacks.
This is what I'm wondering, is if when we get to the first Drake fight in a couple of minutes' time, if you're just going to see the Camille shove the lane in and just come running down to the Drake here, because as you said, once that Naz gets online, the ult comes up, starts getting some stacks, it can get scary. Nice little dodge out here from the Rakan in the bot lane, knock up, and everything goes back to normal. So well handled, at least, on that initial first gank.
Yeah, pretty well telegraphed gank there by Boss. They kind of saw it coming. It leaves, of course, the fact that Boss obviously can go for it at the top here. Apollo looking to score and get in there. There's Waleed. Of course, as soon as they see that Evelynn down the south side, it gives them the opportunity to try and do a reverse gank on this north side, but looks like this north's going to work. Apollo once again going to go for it. Just going to roll out the barrel. Joe will just sidestep that one. Nothing happening here. But there is a reverse invade down the south side. I can see the Evelynn once again getting around the backside. Going to try and get the hate spikes working. Should be able to pick himself up one in heaven here. The first blood will come through. Now the question is, can they get Lito? They're juggling the aggro really well. Here comes the conga line of minions. Lito's going to have to get away from this one. That's not worked out.
No way.
The tower damage comes in. The double kill for Lito might be able to turn it into the triple. What is happening? A 3 for 2 in the end, but an absolutely depressing tower dive.
Oh my word, it started so well when they got the carry, but the Rakan dancing around, hit the level 5 at the right time, everything just lined up there. Beautiful triple kill coming out, and I thought for a second, are we going to see the AP Rakan, the thing that at the minute is terrorizing solo queue, especially in EU, all the top 10 Rakans looking to build things like the Rod of Ages into a death cap, but no, instead going to go in towards the Gargoyle Enchant. A bit of a replay playing out here. As said, it started out pretty clean. They got the kill and started to back away, and I think they thought, well, look, he's like 200 HP here. This is the easiest kill of our lives. You mentioned about the juggling, but the juggling just falls completely wrong. It's a clown at the circus who drops all of his balls in this case, and a triple kill coming out like that to give the full enchant ready for this first Drake fight, and the extra gold that he's invested here into the Kindle gem. Beautiful start for the Rakan.
Yeah, and if the tower hadn't done it, Apollo was also there to try and finish things off. So it looks like Waleed's already done well at the top there. Scuttle Crab's going to get fought over this time. Lito going in, a little bit aggressive there, just trying to pop them up there. Now it's a 4v3. Got to be careful here. They don't get baited into this one. Now making a 4v4. As you can see, they're just going to back out of that one. Tempo's going to remove himself from it. They're going to really fight for the dragon here. They are going to go for the dragon, Des. Is this going to be enough, though?
I think knowing that you've got the Varus ult down here, you may as well go for it. They haven't got this Giga Hard, like, instant straight line CC. Here comes the engage, triple knock-up.
And there's the knock-up. There's the Yasuo ult going off already. Sniper making himself work hard for this one, but it's not going to quite be enough. He gets picked off. Nasa's just way too late for the party. Waleed comes in. He might be able to get himself a couple of stacks off, but Lito backs away. Tower damage coming in. Waleed's trying to get the cleanup, but you cannot 1v5. And in the end, it will be Cut that come out fantastically on top.
Yeah, but you're already seeing a little bit there towards the back end of it. Yes, he was late to the fight, but gets it and gets a 2k off the back end of the fight. If he starts scaling up a little bit more, especially with the gold or game from that one, as long as the team don't fall horrifically behind, he could be an absolute terror coming later into these fights. And we touched on the triple knock straight into the ultimate. Absolutely gorgeous setup coming in. However, they managed to persevere. They keep themselves alive and end up winning the fight off the back of it. Always going to be a question mark there when you can't win off the back of such a strong combo. Maybe a sign of, you know, all this gold being going into the Rakan, at least in the early game, and on the other side, things like the evac quite a bit on the go. Just goes to show maybe you need a couple more items before you're really going to see these team fights being super impactful.
Yeah, and you can see, obviously, the duo of Teemo and 69 switching over against Waleed here. Babe already up here as well, so possible dive coming in. Now, obviously, diving onto a Nasus can be a pretty dangerous thing with that Wither to slow down the AD carry. Babe's just going to back away from that one as the support comes up from Sniper, realizing the danger, but now they're going to start the Rift Herald off, and this is going to be another team fight, I think, Derek.
It is, yeah, but there's two playing on the bot side. With the bot lane the top side, there's no reason why Sunlight should even be stepping towards this fight, and this is exactly why you don't. The Yaz picked off seemingly for free. The Gragas also being caught out. He should get melted down now that Winter Spite is collected. They could make it a 3 if Waleed gets a little bit too far forward, but no, they'll find the double and the Rift. That's a bit of a mistake coming out from Sunlight.
Yeah, they can just throw the Rift Herald down here, and this is just going to absolutely smash it through. So it's the mid lane where they decide to go for it, and that's actually a great choice because they're going to get a double tower, I feel, off the back of that. That is absolutely tremendous start for Cut here.
Yeah, I mean, 5k gold lead now established off the back of that. The double kill, the Herald, the 2 towers. And the painful thing is, Sunlight left their bot lane on the bot side, didn't rotate them up for the Rift Herald, thinking, oh, it's not really worth it. We'll shove this Camille in, we'll make the play happen. They haven't even managed to touch that tower the whole time. The Camille's cleared them out so fast. And still here has got a little bit of pressure applied up, admittedly, because the back line has gone back. But she's doing a great job of keeping herself relevant here, it feels like. Yes, really behind in goal, but you know you've got to sit back there and just let the CS go while your team collects this massive advantage they've now formed elsewhere around the map.
Yeah, 5,000 gold lead, double towers already down, and Sunlight at the moment just kind of walking into them and trying to pick the fights when they just don't have the numbers. You think back to the Dragon, shouldn't have engaged 4v5. Why were they going for it? No. And then you see once again the Rift Herald, you know, a 3v4. Just a crazy decision making going on right now for Sunlight. Maybe coming to this one a little overconfident in their fighting prowess.
You want to talk about jungle gap, by the way. The Eve is a whole death cap up on the Gragas. The Gragas has got the Lich Bane, so does the Eve, but she's also got a death cap on side. This is the horrible power spot you get. Oh, well, Lee, what are you doing, buddy? That one a little bit too simple, stepping into melee range for a Braum. One of the, if not the strongest support in the game. You're never going to walk away when a Kaiser's there to plug away into you. And again, that lead just keeps on expanding now, and it's time offline for the Naz. Slows down that scaling a little bit. No complaints.
Yeah, they do get the support come in, but that's going to open up the bottom tier 1 turret as well, which is just being whittled down right now. That's going to fall afield there as the Varus can't do anything to defend that one from the Camille and Evelynn. So that's going to work in their favor. So now all 3 outer tier 1 turrets are in. The jungle invade is very much in full effect. Now Sunlight going to try and turn this one around. There's the knockup they were looking for, but Sniper was just too late to the party. He doesn't get it in time. Cut 69 is going to back away from this one, but they've already managed to get one down. Now they're going to escape. They're all low on health. It does look like Babe's going to go down, but will he get Apollo down with him? No, here comes Boss around the side. Should be enough. He's going to go looking for Apollo. You're trying to back away in the pit. What are you doing, man? And the Boss comes in. We were already talking about how strong he was. And just like that, they turn the aggression from Sunlight back on them. Joe, though, going to go down to the turret. No, just escape. Yes, Heaven will pick him off.
A little bit of a flash forward there. Love to see it coming out the back end of it. That's a couple of times where you've seen these solo laners get a little bit over aggressive and wager a lead under tower, and the reverse side of the map, it was Joe pushing quite aggressively and then getting himself 1v1'd out by Heaven. Means he doesn't need to be around there, admittedly, to try and focus on bringing down this Drake, which Cut will collect quite comfortably. That gold lead only expands, though. Now at 9,000, starting to near that 10k gap mark. That's going to be pretty cataclysmic when it comes around to it.
That is a monstrous jungle goal difference so far. That is definitely going to be the difference. And Cut, you know, they went down 2-0 in fairness. We're just looking at the replay here. I mean, we talked about it at the time, so I don't really need to focus too much on it. But simply put, you know, they went in there just at the wrong time. And for a jungler like Evelyn, this is just absolute cleanup duty. And I got to be honest, he probably could have gone for that third one as well.
Probably could have carried on all the way, I agree. And for Apollo, I think it was just underestimating exactly how far ahead Boss is here. He's almost double golded him. Now, not at all to say and compare it entirely to my ranked adventures, but I don't remember the last time I've seen a jungler be at double gold about the 10-minute mark in the game. The Eve is well and truly running away with it. 3 items on board now really is the big difference maker. And especially when you consider that in these fights, because she's invisible, she's arriving late, she hasn't got a front line. Look at the damage on Sniper! How do you respond to that?
That is the mid laner being absolutely eviscerated in seconds. Now, while he does get the Camille down for Joe there, so a little bit of something, but that's going to be a tier 2 turret going down unless they try and engage on this one. I don't agree with that engagement. I don't think it's the right thing to go for. Now the support arrives around. Here's the mighty Boss just going up for cleanup duty. Tries to go for Lito, gets Lito down. The tier 2 turret drops. And I got to be honest, Sunlight, you need to be team grouping here. They have to recognize where that bonus gold is. They got to realize that Boss is so far ahead and focus him.
It's the one thing I wasn't too fond of with the Nasus, to be honest with you. In Wild Rift, because these fights kick off so early in the game, you need to have some playmaking potential or get a really good first item spike. Well, Lead, do you even need to say anything about this? You know that he's going to get melted out here as well. Pacing in a jungle, he has no right being in. They have no real vision control outside of a couple in towards the river. With no knowledge going on, why are they still stepping forwards here, Lee? They shouldn't be going in.
Well, you know, I mean, they have a ward there. It's not like they didn't realize there was an entire team there, but now they're going to go for the Baron. The Baron bait, I don't even know they need to bait it. I think they can just do this for free, and that's exactly what's going to happen. Sunlight realize they cannot compete.
Now, with Apollo down here, you no chance of a 50-50 coin flip on the Smite. Super comfortable to be able to close things away and no real resistance being shown by Sunlight. I keep on talking about these frontline tanks that you're seeing in the Gragas, you're seeing in the place of the Naz as well. I mean, Gragas admittedly going for that AP setup as well as the Varus also going into that build. Been quite popular throughout the Origin series. It's set up to try and pop down these higher HP members. Can be an absolute monster when you get some real AP scaling online. But again, consider the fact that the Eve is sat at 3 full items. You've got a Gragas that hasn't yet finished the second. Varus hasn't finished the second. It's looking dicey.
It's looking dire. It's not looking dicey. It's looking pretty darn dire. Unless they can focus it out. Now, for example, a team fight, you know, if Waleed were to get the Wither down on Boss, and then they could focus on him, and then, of course, get that wombo combo, which is the whole point of the team comp they've chose. They want to get that big wombo combo off. At the moment, they've not been in a position where they can get all 5 members together for the fight. Whereas for Cut have done this multiple times. They're grouping and already looking for those big aggressions. And Joe, they just got to ignore it. They just can't go for this one. That's going to be another tier 2 turret. All the tier 2 turrets now down.
Yeah, pressure stepping up now, and in comes the dive from the Eve as well. Just saw on the minimap as she stepped in there onto the Yasuo again. And the Rakan, we've seen it a couple of times, a bit over aggressive, always getting caught out here. For Cut, this is the easiest close. They will slay the side of Sunlight in game number 1. And no doubt, Lee, game number 2, there's going to have to be some big changes.
Yeah, after what was a dominant, honestly, performance from Sunlight in the first 2 matches, they're going to close this one out inside 14 minutes. Sunlight really have to turn things around here because Cut just dominated them.
Just a little bit. I mean, again, looking back at the first series where they played, I think the games were like 18 minutes and 16. They were quite quick. This one is even quicker, but going to the side of Cut. Crazy turnaround, crazy eventuality. And I think with those bans being taken away from Sunlight, removing their global presence on the map, they just looked a bit stunted, stuck in lane, isolated, and Cut said, look, let's go and roam as 3-4 members. That's how we win the game.
And I gotta be honest, after what I saw with that tower dive, I thought, okay, this is why Cut lost the last few games. They just completely messed up juggling that and just stuck around too long. But they just stuck with it. They carried on the dominance that they had there, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see an Evelyn ban coming out in the next game. You know, obviously they went with the Pantheon. Sure, that was fun. It was directed, but I'm pretty sure there's an Evelyn ban coming in the next game. But very interested to see what the guys at the desk have to say about that, Derek.
Absolutely. And with that, let's throw it to a break. When we come back, they'll break that one down for you.
So that was a bit of a surprise. We were all expecting Sunlight Team to take the early lead there, but it's Cut Esports leading the series 1-0 in the Group C Grand Final. And really, I think a lot of that came around the jungle diff, and it's actually something that we highlighted earlier. Eric Boss on this Evelynn. Hells, I know you're a big fan of this pick.
Jungle diff indeed. And he did the exact same as he did in the previous games. And I want to highlight that I feel like it's not really him doing really good. I mean, of course, he did really well. It's more that Sunlight were unable to counter it. It should have been easy and predictable because they're doing the same rotation over and over again. He's doing the full clear, getting level 5, taking the scuttle a bit later. So what they could have done against it, for example, take the top scuttle and then immediately rotate to bot lane, take the bot scuttle as well. Put pressure on that jungler. They gave him a free jungle. And of course, when you give Eric a free jungle, he's going to steamroll your team.
And to be honest, I just want to point out as well, the 8k gold difference at the end between the two junglers. That's actually insane on an individual basis. But the problems with Sunlight Team didn't really all entirely exist in the jungle. There were a few decisions that were made that we didn't really agree with. You got a clip on here on the drawing board for us, Hells, where you can kind of run through a small decision that was made that actually has quite large consequences for the entire game of Sunlight Team.
Oh yeah, this was the whole point where Sunlight Team completely lost the game on the drawing board.
Let's try and get that one up then, and we can start being taken through that.
So let's take a look at this right here, okay? So this is a dragon fight, right? This is a dragon fight from both teams. And come on, Sunlight Team, what are you doing? They have a Nasus in their team, and you can see the Nasus over here. So what he did is he went back, and he's trying to rotate to the dragon. What he should have done instead is this. You can see the minions are pressuring the top lane turret. He could have gotten the turret for free. He could have farmed up his stacks. Like, not only is he losing out on the free turret now, and by the way, here, 4 versus 5. Also, terrible idea. They're taking a 4 versus 5 against Cut Esports. Obviously, they're losing. Like, here you can see, they're completely losing out the fight. They lost the dragon. And at this point, Nasus, you're too late. You're not, like, what are you gonna do? And here the Nasus decides to go in, which is probably not the worst idea because, as you can see, the enemy is pretty low and he does manage to secure himself the double kill. But really, is a double kill worth more than a free turret and free minions? I want to highlight the minions as well because it's a Nasus. No, it is not.
Just to... I was gonna say, I think with this one as well, like, I know TJ's probably chomping at the bits to get in here. Like, that decision making and actually not playing for the late game is just like a fundamental flaw with how Sunlight Team were playing this, right?
Yeah, I mean, just to expand upon that, if we go back to the start of this clip so that I can highlight exactly the team composition that's upsetting me. The team comp that we build over here on Cut is all early game all the time. You have this early boost Evelynn, you have this Kai'Sa, both of whom spike during the early mid game, both of whom want to start snowballing around the 5-minute mark and just take over the game. On the opposite side, you have Nasus, you have Yasuo, you have Varus. This is a team composition that isn't going to succeed for the first couple of minutes, that is going to struggle for the first 5 to 6 minutes, but then will come online and will be almost unmatchable in team fights. So all I want to see for Sunlight Team is, like Hells is saying, evaluate the value of taking wave CS, of just passively building up those bank accounts, because you don't need to fight every dragon. Yes, it's an Infernal. Yes, that's very important. But it's more important that you preserve your win condition, that being their late game team fights, that being their late game draft, than fight into the Kai'Sa Evelynn, which is so strong right now.
Well, thank you very much for running us through that one, TJ. And yeah, I can understand why you're a little bit angry. And I think also in our little conversation we're having in the green room, I think the sentiment was shared by all of us that you're not really playing that comp correctly, but there's plenty of opportunities to adapt. That is just game one. It is a best of 3 series, and we know how powerful Sunlight Team can be. So Cut Esports, they've drawn the first blood in this series. We're going to wrap up game 1 as we move over to game number 2. One thing to point out as well is that we've actually had a substitution in the ADC role. I believe we're getting Haven in to play instead which means the graphic is just a little bit out of touch, but that's usually the roster that's coming in. So the substitution could be playing a factor here in Sunlight Team's performance, but I'd be inclined to disagree with that one based off of how they were just playing the composition. It's less micro, more macro. With that in mind, guys, what are we looking to see from Sunlight Team here? Do you think they try and go for the late game comp, TJ, or do you think that they change it up and don't worry about the composition and pigeonhole themselves into a set play style?
Yeah, I mean, I worry that they're going to respond to this. Well, okay. I have a couple of thoughts. I worry they're going to respond to this by banning out Evelynn, by getting rid of Kai'Sa. And that shouldn't work, because there are so many other picks that can fulfill those early game roles. I was having a little bit of an argument with Hells during our game commentary where we were talking about how I think Lee Sin could do that just as well. I think Lee Sin could cover that territory just as well as an Evelynn. But it also, frankly, might work, because this is a newer title. A lot of teams don't yet have a very broad champion pool, but that's not a long-term fix. So what I would like to see from Sunlight Team, beyond banning out the power picks that won last game, would be being able to recognize we have a late-game playstyle. That's what they draft almost very consistently, almost 100% of the time. If you're drafting for that late game, play to that late game. Change the way they're evaluating early objectives.
So definitely, I honestly don't want to see a change in draft. I want to see a change in gameplay. Cut Esports is very one-dimensional. You can see that they're doing the same thing over and over again with the jungle rotations. Counter it. Counter that jungle rotation and win the game. If that's what they do, because composition-wise, Sunlight, in my opinion, was actually way better. And as TJ said, late game. Play the late game, play the jungle correctly, counter that Evelynn jungling, and you will be fine. If you just let the Evelynn do that hyper carry clear, that's what I call it, because she's taking a really long time to take the jungle, taking a really long time to get to that scuttle. If that's what happens, she's gonna get ahead. She was level 6 against the level 4 Gragas, just like yesterday. See, that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. So you can counter it very easily.
So if you hadn't realized, if you're watching at home, shut down Eric Boss, and that's the way you're going to win if you're Sunlight Team. So I'm sure everyone's going to be paying attention to that jungle, to the rotations, and make sure that there is some adaptation there. TJ, what are some ways in the draft that even if we see Sunlight Team go for the late game, they can maybe look at shutting down the Evelynn early? What are some things they can be doing on the map to stop that lead being generated?
This is something that a lot of the teams in Southeast Asia are doing. You're drafting Varus, you're drafting late game carries, and you're throwing Lee Sin in the jungle pack. Because Lee Sin is so powerful for the first 5 minutes of the game that he can almost single-handedly counter gank, protect your team from dive from characters like Evelynn, and also boost your team out ahead through the first 5 minutes of game. So something like that doesn't have to be a Lee Sin, but draft one hyper carry during the early game to protect your late game odds.
Yeah, and what I want to see is Ahri. See, the thing with Ahri is it's a very oppressive early game mid laner. And the reason that I'm saying I want to see Ahri is yet again because of the jungle rotation of the Evelynn that they're doing, that Eric is doing. When you pick the Ahri, you can quite easily win your lane, get lane priority, rotate, and get both scuttles, or maybe even win that jungle fight. So I really, really want to see that Ahri, especially from Sunlight Team, or maybe even banned out by Cut Esports.
I think I'm a little less high on the early game Ahri, but we agree fundamentally on the concept of draft something that can carry you through the early game in order to get you to that mid game. As far as the bans are going though, Hells, it is much the same as last game. Pantheon Akali removed.
It's just, oh, we see that.
We got it!
Honestly, I don't like it. See, this is what I'm saying. They're being a bit one-dimensional right now. They think Evelynn is the problem, but as you said, Lee Sin can do the same. Other junglers can also do the same. Kha'Zix can do it even better. So it's one-dimensional. This is very one-dimensional, and let's see how Cut Esports actually responds to that.
Here's the question I have, though. Yes, I agree with you that I don't think the Evelynn is the problem, but champion pools at this stage of the game are oftentimes very small, and we've actually seen the jungler for Cut Esports, Boss, struggle on other picks. The only other pick we've seen him play on camera was a kind of weak Olaf. So if banning out the Evelynn forces him to play an Olaf that he's not having a great time on, then maybe it'll just work.
And as we can look at the previous game, we can definitely see that both teams want to win that early game. Picking a late game composition totally didn't work for Sunlight because they didn't really know how to play around it. So I feel like they really want to pick those oppressive early game champions. And Kai'Sa, Gragas, Braum, these are all good examples of these types of champions to really win that early game and continue snowballing the game.
I think Kai'Sa and Gragas are incredible power picks right now for Cut. That's going to give them a lot of that mid-game team fighting power like you were talking about. And Cut Esports are laser focused on that. They want to yet again be able to land a knockout blow in the first 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, and we can see that the Olaf Renekton. It's both of these champions. Sunlight Esports has had massive success with these champions. Absolutely dominating performance on both these champions on Sunlight Esports. Very a Shyvana. What? I'm being super surprised here. Shyvana. We haven't seen Shyvana. This is a champion that's generally not really on the on the number 1, 2, or 3 as the jungle picks. It's not really a loved champion right now.
I'm much higher on the Shyvana than I think a lot of competitive teams. She gets played occasionally as a pocket pick for certain teams. And what she is very good at is winning mid-game team fights. If you want a character that can ult and win a team fight, that's Shyvana. Over on
Whoa.
This isn't Olaf jungle? Or maybe this is Lee Sin somewhere else.
Lee Sin Baron lane, Renekton mid lane, Olaf jungle. That's what I'm expecting right there. And I find this very interesting. This is such a tanky lineup. And they picked the Varus with it as well. Like, wow, what an interesting composition. I don't really like what they're trying to do against the Ziggs. Because if the Ziggs can stay from a distance, he can continuously bash out damage without being harmed. And if they just pick a good support here that can defend the Ziggs, Nami, pretty good. She has the healing. Not the best, I would say. But still, let's see how good they can protect the Ziggs in this game.
I don't really know what Sunlight are aiming for. This feels like a pretty messy, scattered draft. On the Cut Esports side, it's dead simple. They've got a mid-game team fight. It's very scary. If they can get a team fight around that first or second dragon and land a knockout punch, they can win the game.
I just want to point out as well, I believe that is the first Shyvana pick of Group C. So that's debuting in this group right now. If the stats we've got are correct. So what a time to bring it out in the grand finals. We're going to go ahead and throw it over to D-Man and Desichu to take you through all the action.
Thank you very much, guys. Well, we talked about the Evelynn target ban, but I wasn't expecting this. This is a pretty spicy comp, I would say, from certainly Sunlight. I like it, but it is pretty bruiser heavy.
Yeah, as soon as you and I saw the Lee Sin get locked in, we were just like, wait, what? It was one of those. It was very, very weird. I imagine that maybe we'd see it going mid. The mobility may be helping out, but that doesn't look to be the case. It's going to be the Olaf stepping into the mid lane, facing off again. No, sorry, going top side. Renekton in the mid lane then. You theorized that. I wasn't sure. I don't really like the idea of the Renekton coming up against the Ziggs personally. Like, sure, if you can get close, you can deal with him with quite a bit of damage, but you've got the barrier, you've got his W to deal with. There's a lot of things that will keep him safe against the Renekton and just get loads of poke piled in by that Ziggs. This could be a really comfortable lane for Joe, I think.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, obviously, they could have gone with the Rakan, maybe, but I guess maybe considering the tidal wave to just try and beat people away as much as they can if you get into a big team fight there for the Nami there. But they are going to have the lane switch. Okay, so we're going to have 69 and Teemo up the top. Okay.
Brilliant. I mean, look, I haven't cast tons of Wild Rift. I don't recall seeing lane swaps being all that popular in the game. Like, what year is this? We're stepping right back into the past here, it feels
it's like. It's my age. I feel like I'm here.
It's an honor to the old days of Joe Miller and D-Man casting League together. Absolutely. Now, you've got to remember, of course, that, the bottom lane towers do have a little bit more defensive stats piled onto them in the early game. So here on the top side, if they can get a really good shove on, sure, there's something to come from that. But I think it's more about shutting down Sniper here as well, potentially inhibiting the top lane a little bit and seeing what they can do on the bottom side, because I think having Babe by himself down here, you're not going to complain about it too much. Relatively decent wave clear with the Q once he gets a couple of items, well, not a couple of items, sorry, a few points stacked into the ability, first item coming online. The other downside of it is that you might have to get some support coming in from junglers like you're seeing now, just to make sure there's no crazy, 3-man dive coming in from the Shyvana.
Yeah, and the Renekton's going to have a tough time early on in the mid lane. This is actually going to work out as a gank. They do try and get it down, but there's going to be the heal coming through. They're going to try and turn this one back around. 69 is just going for it solo. His support's already gone, but he flashes in for the aggro, gets away with it. Not on the same page as Temu there.
At the same time, that just gives a lot of time for the Shyvana to get this free farm on the go here. Appreciate you want to help out your solo laner, but this is why so commonly when you've got someone playing in a 2 versus 1, you make it a 3 versus 1 with the gank. That wasn't the go-to play here. It almost worked out for them, but a good Nami bubble kept her and the Kai'Sa safe, and they almost turned it back around.
Oh, it's going to be a 4-man collapse on the mid lane, and Wally reads that well, so he's just going to back away from that one. Let's see what they're going to try and gain from this one as Boss will just get himself the scuttle. Thank you very much. And it's a simple drive-by. So how's this playing out then? Because obviously the Gragas is solo. That's fine for him in that bot lane.
I think it's okay down there. Like, sure, you still don't get as much farm as you might want. Questionable diving, but flashing under tower, the flash away from the Renekton, and in comes the Lee as well to, again, provide cover. It feels like Apollo is playing the defender of the solo lanes right now than so much playing a jungler.
Which is a worry, because obviously with Elise, you want to be the oppressor. You want to be the one on the aggression, forcing, looking for those quick, fast ganks, trying to do what you can. But at the moment, it does feel like Boss is pushing the pace, despite the fact he's obviously switched over to this Shyvana.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you got both of the scuttles, I think the Lee Sin had just hit level 4, as Boss was already halfway through level 5, doing what Shyvanas do best, just trying to power farm our way through the levels here, get a couple of items online and turn into an absolute monster in the mid game. It's why I'm not super hot on the Shyvana, to be honest with you. You need those items and that level of advantage to really be strong, unless you get towards the late game where, sure, you can be a little bit of a tank, but you haven't got the utility of a Lee Sin or of the mobility that he brings with the Q and the W, for example. That's always been one of the criticisms leveraged against Shyvana. So I'm really keen to see what Boss's thinking is here as we get towards this first Drake fight.
Spotted out by the ward, so Apollo not going to gain anything from this one. Probably expect to see Joe playing pretty passive in that mid lane. That was a simple back there, and let's see what the Heaven's going to go back and buy. Okay, going to sort himself out. So is Zach going to buy time for Babe? Okay, they are going to switch around. So the duo back in the Dragon lane now, just in time for the Dragon spawn.
Yeah, everyone's coming down at the perfect time. Got their first set of buys on the go as well. You got that locket being picked up by the Braum. Some extra shielding doesn't really help if you're the one being caught out solo, mind you. Q onto the Ziggs. And you're just waiting, I think, for that opening here to make a play happen. Cut have got the control of the river because of the side of the map that they're on. But here comes the potential engage.
Going to try and work it out. There's the knock-up. That's what they're looking for. But the instant reply, Boss gets absolutely nailed in the pit. Apollo tries to flash out. Doesn't quite work out for him. Joe's getting off in the corner there. He's getting manhandled, but it has the damage to try and keep it down. It is working out great once again for Kurt here. Nothing they can do about this. Joe flashes away, baits them in, and 69 will finish the day. Fantastic engage. That was, what, a 1 for 4, 1 for 5?
It came out pretty well, all things considered. I think a couple of kills came through because they caught out the Lee super early on. The second onto the support as well. Little bit of back and forth in, but ultimately the Drake going the way of Sunlight here. Now, Mountain, you're not going to be absolutely delighted about. You'd have taken a couple of other picks over that, I think. However, when that steal came in the first case and the Inferno Bomb gets layered on top, the damage that's just spread across both teams is absolutely insane. And you can see how low Sunlight were going. The Renekton was kind of dancing around for the longest time, like, do I come back in and help out Heaven here? Do I let him die? And I think he probably made the right call there, not getting himself sucked back in. It's something that we criticized them for in the previous game where Waleed, for example, was getting a bit too aggressive and they find themselves being caught out.
A 2 for 4, so definitely in favor of Cut. And once again, it does equalize that gold out. Of course, I didn't actually notice who picked up the Dragon. I was focused on the fight so much. It's one of those crazy things that was going on in the moment there. But yeah, so, okay, back to normality. Things are calming down. We have Babe back on the top lane and the Gragas. Boss coming looking for a bit of a potential invade here to sneak around the back of Sniper. Sniper already up to level 8 though, so it's going to be definitely a tough target to try and face for. He can just pounce off, yes he will, and Sniper will just flash away from that one. So in the end, ulti just transferred. That's going to be a quick and easy gank though. And that's the danger. The second they show themselves on the top lane, they say, thank you very much. It's a 4-man invade and it's the first tower of the game.
I mean, what I love about this is sure you get a little bit gold off taking the Herald, but why worry about that when you can force the first tower in the game, when you can find a kill in the bot side? This is the cross-mapping that some people love talking about. Is stop focusing so hard on the objectives that spawn and worry more about the map objectives. Really good play for the tower, and for Sunlight, it gets them ahead in gold once again, now up to a 1k gold lead. It is slight, but at least it's keeping them in the game.
With the Ref Herald picked up, it should be enough here for Cut to try and pick that one up. Boss gets away with absolutely nothing. Tries to escape from it. This could be double here as Apollo goes hunting. He's going to get one. Should be able to actually bounce off and get Boss down at the same time.
No!
And in comes the support arriving. This is now a 4-man invade on the top line. This could go disastrously wrong for Cut here. They just turn and run. Don't back away there, Boss. That's an absolute death call. Waleed trying to go for this one, but he's gone too deep. He's going to go down to the tower, surely. No! Just about escapes.
Jesus, everyone run away without any health bars. You can swear it's a graphical glitch at that rate with nothing being left on either side. So low on both sides. Honestly, astounded that Cut didn't lose those two members, both walking away on super low HP. And Apollo, I think, composed himself a bit and was like, right, it's not worth getting that greedy four. Sorry, I can see how likely it is I can get these kills, but not worth it if I go down myself as well. The barrier, the real big savior here, and you can see how despite constant nerfs in terms of the cooldown, it is still such a popular pick for
He
laners.
missed the kick. I wondered how he got away, and Apollo, I just saw it there. He missed the kick. That was how he got away. So he kind of like, he was focused on the two targets that were both within kill distance. In the end, split the difference and put it straight up the middle. So disaster for him.
Got a bit of team play at the end with Heaven chipping in as well. Does things settle down for a moment again? You're about 2 to 3k goldie now. I just feel like Sunlight. I was going to say, not settling down then. This is the second or third time he's done this, by the way. Getting himself caught out, not ideal.
Dragon's Descent coming out from Boss there, just leaping in effectively into the team, and is going to go backwards for them. Cut 69 is going to get the flash away. Again, the kick from Apollo, just missing out there. Waleed will come through, and it is going to be a 2-for-1 trade going the way of Sunlight, and that should turn the Dragon in their favor.
Absolutely. I mean, very fortunate there's enough follow-up damage coming out of the side of Sunlight there after Leto got caught out. I think he was going for a ward to help settle this one up, and it didn't play out too well. The Ziggs is lurking around. Health bars are pretty low, but with no ult on side, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, chooses not to commit for that. I didn't see whether he had his ulti. I don't think he did. No, he didn't have his ulti available for that one, so he couldn't toss the bomb into the pit, which is what I was worried about. But well, you know what? We were just discussing before during the halftime break. Effectively, this is going to be a much calmer game. I think this one's going to slow down and not going to be snowballing quite so much. But Sunlight this time are putting the boot to the throats of Cut.
Absolutely. I mean, look at how aggressive these fights are getting. Admittedly off Leto again, being the one that was overextending a little bit. And then all chaos breaks loose because there's so many tools both to get into these fights. Not a whole ton to get out of them, admittedly. The Renekton wants to commit. You're finally going to sign it. The Olaf wants to commit into the backline. The Lee Sin, once he's in, probably doesn't want to leave either. Same sort of story for the Shyvana. So really looking towards Babe here with that ult, I think, to bring the big disengaging when they need it. After they caught Leto there, maybe you'd hope for more. And now there's another fight on the bot side. The Shyvana not even going to be able to survive through the Renekton, who's absolutely shredding fools this game.
Yeah, I think Boss is maybe thinking it's one of those dangers, right? You've just had such a hyper carry game, and he's sort of like diving in for these engagements, and he's just not there. The kick lands, though. This time, Joe manages to get away, though. So Apollo landed it, and I've got to be honest, like, if Apollo would have landed some more of these kicks, we could have been looking at, a couple more kills, because if you think of the top lane, you think of the bot lane there with 69 as well in the middle fight, definitely could be a massive snowball for Sunlight here. As it is, a 4,000 gold advantage. They're going to get themselves the Scuttle Crab, and it's about time they start to close out some more of these turrets, because they're still at 2 apiece.
It's crazy how night and day it is compared to last game, right? Like, look in the Baron lane where it was Waleed versus Babe. Babe on the Camille. Although they were quite even on gold, it was Waleed constantly shut under tower. Now it's Waleed being the one that is charging through these fights on the 3-0 Renekton, causing absolute hell with a 1,500 gold lead. On the other side, the Shyvana starting off strong. Now you're looking towards the Lee Sin to be the ones making the play. It's just crazy how it's such a different setup and feel compared to how the last game played out, simply because Boss isn't in one of these big, massive playmaking junglers.
Well, he just saw there, making sure they got a lot of ward coverage in and around the area of the Baron, trying to get it covered off. There's going to be the kick. That's not going to work out. Joe will just satchel charge himself away from that as they try to collapse on the mid lane. Now, Orlito, you are spotted, son. Has been called out a couple of times. Has kind of been the the go signal effectively for Cut as they've tried to engage on that. So they're just trying to get some massive ward control at the river right now. And I got to be honest, in terms of wards, it's not too bad for both teams at the moment.
Now, all listed throughout the river, and you can see, especially for Sunlight, they've got 2 plus the Scuttle currently set up around Baron. Just making sure it's not going to get stuck away. And I thought for a couple of seconds, Cut might think about it when they had 4 players on the top side of the map, but the ward coverage just a little bit too strong to worry about. What you have got to be conscious of, though, is they'll be keeping a really close eye on where Boss is. He disappears to the wrong side of the map for a few seconds. Chances are you might see an objective just burnt down. The same sort of story on the other side as well.
Nice work from Babe there, just slipping down the bottom and getting that wave cleared out, pushing the wave into the turret, taking down the 3rd turret. So at the moment, Cut do lead in terms of turrets. And now, of course, with the Dragon coming up shortly, they're going to be trying to set up for this one. They've got to be careful. All their wards have now been swept out and cleared up and around the river near the Baron area. And that is exactly what Sunlight are looking towards. The Olaf down the south side. Boss is down there, so may look to try and help out with an engage, but it looks like everyone's just going to buy.
He's just permanently power farming. Like, he was inside Lee Sin's jungle. He's gone from the top side down through the river into his own jungle, done the full clear once again. You can see it's only about a 1k gold lead, but it's at least for now giving him a slight level advantage, and it's not a massive difference, but those slight differences do still count. More damage, of course, as your levels go up, could be the difference maker as we settle towards Drake.
Yeah, here we go. So Spawn comes down. They don't care what it is. It's an Ocean Drake this time around, but it seems they all want to fight for it regardless. Now we see Boss coming around the side. Gives himself his position away. The kick from Apollo is good. Dragon's Descent gets him out of there into the Super Mega Inferno Bomb. That works out for Joe there. And Joe's getting good damage down on the back line. That's a problem for Sunlight here. They are getting picked off as they try to dive a little too deep. They do manage to finally get 2 down. 69 and Babe picked off. So now Joe is going to be the focus. Try and go for that mid laner. But Boss goes back in, gets himself Lito. Now they're going to dive in. Joe will get himself the triple. And now Cut do have the advantage. They can turn for Dragon, but it's still going to be very low hit points. Apollo's still alive, but he has to back.
Sunlight so bloodthirsty, considering Apollo was quite composed earlier on. I'm surprised to see him going as aggressively as he did. They lose the 2 members in the latter back end of that fight, and it goes from being a 2-for-2 fight into a 4-for-2 in favor of Cut, and likely a Drake, unless Apollo can work some real magic here. The Q, the Sonic Wave being caught out by the Nami. TP also coming in from the Gragas, goes in, wants to steal, but can't quite get it, going to find himself losing his life and the Drake. The big danger here with that Apollo being down, they could recall, rush straight to Baron and have the big number advantage, given there's no jungler available for Sunlight.
Yeah, Apollo unable to get his smite off there. Boss put the smite down. It was Joe's bomb that actually got the kill stolen away. So I don't know, see whether he actually got picked off, but there he go for this one. This was pretty messy.
It was super scrappy from back to front again. I mean, once the Shyvana got caught out again, members just committing into each other, using the ultimate a bit more defensively. Rest of the team arrives to support. And you mentioned about Joe. Uncontested in the back line, it felt like, for the most part. Some good dodging and weaving out of his side as well. Some good support coming out of the Na'Vi after Cut had already found himself going stupidly low and being melted out. That was the attempt coming out from the Lee. But as mentioned now, it all turns round to that Baron. They've got the 3 Drakes on side. The next one will be that Elder. But for this point, it's going to be all about Baron on the top side of the map.
So mid-turret picked up by Walid, so Sunlight now equalizing that 3 apiece. It is still only a gold advantage as they take down that tier 2 turret as well. The minion push just too strong there, and Cut a little late to the party because they were sort of more worried about the north side, trying to cover off that Baron area. So they kind of just let that one slip, and that's twice these teams have just let a simple minion push take down the turret, which is a little concerning for me.
Good wave control, I think, from the attacking side, to be honest. Used to get them stacked up enough that they will just take down the towers so simply. And yeah, between both sides, you're looking at like a 1 tower diff. It's really not the end of the world for either side right now. You're in that awkward stage of the game where you're at the kind of 15-minute mark where you know one bad team fight is the end of the game. No one's really yet ready to full commit for a fight because they know the Baron is the big objective. I just worry that if a fight goes horribly wrong, someone gets caught out. I'm looking at you here, Leto. If someone gets caught out, it turns into a numbers disadvantage. That's when you turn for the Baron. You force the 5 versus 4. You close the game.
Absolutely. If they miss out on that Glacial Fissure in the big team fight, it can be a problem. But now the Invade's coming out. It's Cut. We're looking at Leto, but that's not where we need to be looking. We need to be looking at the jungle. There we go. Apollo. He's already trying to push it on there. They've managed to get a boss. Boss is just simply the distraction. He's got that Guardian Angels up now. Leto will come around. Nothing really netted from this Invade, but it is going to try and force the fight towards Baron.
It will force the Croc and Lee Sin back, and with that they think, okay, if they come for us again, we can burn them out super easy. Let's fort the fight. In comes the Gragas.
Babe gets himself the double slam there. He's just keeping them at bay. Now they're going to try and focus on him. He has the Guardian Angels available. Look at the back line, though, of Popolo trying to get deep on them. It's just not enough. Sniper will get picked off. Finally, the Gragas goes down, and now you can see Sunlight turning it, but look how low they are. They're going to try and get away from this one. Wally tries to work it, but it is going to be... Oh, he got the stun! He got the stun on Boss. Boss will take him down in the end. That was a 3-for-5 fight. The ace comes out for Cut, but by God, that's just a messy engagement. I'm going to leave the replay for you because that was just bonkers.
Yeah, I mean, the way it keeps breaking down is, again, front to back, tanks charging in, trying to back out, keep themselves alive. It's absolute madness. Here, he was distracted in the front line, but look at the Olaf at the top side of your screen. Absolutely melting through kids up there as well. 3 of them looking pretty dangerously low, but then they all start to back away. And Cut here will lead with a beautiful flashing, completely melts through Cut. Nothing he can do to walk away from that one. And then into this awkward 1-versus-1 that we saw, of course, go the way of the red side. They might be able to close the game out here. Look at the time. The respawns are coming in with like 2 seconds left.
And they're going to finish it off, and Cut will take it 2-0. They just rush it down the mid and actually make it work, and which is insane. You know, down to a 3-on-5. We're talking about the Baron. They didn't care about the Baron. They quickly went back, got full hit points, run it down mid.
I was honestly surprised when he went back to buy the death cap. I thought, okay, he's conceding on ending the game here. He's supposed to get the eyes to be ready for the next Baron fight, but no, the push down the end to win. What is that from Cut? Being able to turn things around like that is absolutely magical. We had lots of calls for the 2-0 coming in. Not the case.
Absolute insanity. And Sunlight, who looked to be in control for a while, and I gotta be honest, that final team fight, I'd love to see whether the desk will break that down, because it was 2v4 and they were winning. If the rest of the team hadn't been held up by Gragas, it may well have gone their way. Fantastic stuff. Cut gonna take this one 2-0. We're gonna go to a break. When we come back, the desk can break it all down.
Welcome back to the Origin Series. Cut Esports have taken place in what we would consider a upset. We were coming into this thinking Sunlight team were going to win it. 2-1 for some, 2-0 for another, but Cut, they reign supreme. And if you hadn't noticed as well, we've swapped out Hells. I brought Yuko in to help us break down this game. But TJ, I'm going to start very quickly with talking about the early game, because that's what we went into the series with, talking about the jungle advantage. And Cut, they did something a little bit funky to make sure they still maintain that lead.
Yeah, Hells, I've got to get this right because this mattered incredibly to him. It is the same rotation we saw on the Evelyn. It is the lightning fast clear, except it was passed over to the Shyvana. So this Shyvana had an early level 5 by their passing through the jungle and that first pickup of the Scuttle Crab down on the bottom side. And we didn't see a counter to that still from Sunlight. They had a Lee Sin who has a very early power spike and could fight for that Scuttle. But instead, this Lee Sin dedicates themselves to fighting a kind of weird 1v2 in the top side because the Olaf can't really contribute again. But I would like to highlight, TJ editorializing, because they have a Lee Sin, none of it matters. Lee Sin's power spike during the early game is so strong that as we saw in that like 4-5 minute fight in the top lane, you can still go even. That Lee Sin still was able to do massive amounts of damage despite losing the early game by such a wide amount.
Okay, TJ, I'm going to need you to focus on something else beyond the jungle. You paid homage to Hells for us. Thank you so much for doing so. But we're going to pull up the drawing board, and you're going to take us through a clip that's involving the strength of the Varus in this team fight.
Yeah, I want to highlight this engage right here. So this is what Shyvana does, a deep dive forward, and it's very badly desynced. You're going to watch the other two characters that combo very well with the Shyvana dive throw out their CC in a moment, completely separated from everything else. So here comes the Tidal Wave, here comes the Mega Inferno Bomb. You can see none of them are on the same target. And what this enables is what Varus does best, right here, where because we have a Varus sitting on his back foot, is how I like to phrase it, just being able to play defense and throw arrows forward. Chain of Corruption was the first cast onto this Shyvana. They get one target at a time, people stepping up forward to fight him. This is the ideal Varus teamfight, and one that a Varus is going to win every single time. You see Heaven just detonate this Shyvana, and then they get another single target as 69 steps up. So two parts here. One, very good Varus fight, very ideal for Heaven. Two, really awkward Desync fight from Ka.
But that's Sunlight at their best, but there's a little bit of issues with Sunlight playing at their worst in some instances. This is where they maybe get a little bit too ahead of themselves in these fights.
Yeah, and I'd love to talk to Yuka about this as well, because this is the fight that Cut won, that put them back in the game after a very messy early game. So here, first of all, we get the composition, like, synergy that was missing during the early game. And then Yuko, I don't know if you're noticing this. Could you tell me when what's going on with the Ziggs during this team fight, and I'll just play it along.
All right, so basically to cut it short, Joe is very much safe at the backline. As you can see, Glacier Fisher did not connect. Also, in this game, he had a lot of pretty good Mega Inferno bombs. On top of that, he was very focused on taking objectives. A lot of turrets is actually taken down because of him. And again, you saw TJ highlight this. Joe, unreachable. You have the other members of Sunlight just focusing on someone else, and that just gave a lot of space, a lot of time for Joe to even pop these bouncing balls.
And I would also like to highlight what I was talking about earlier, where the Varus was just able to sit on their back foot, throw arrows and spells forward, which is the ideal Varus fight. This time, Tread, the Varus is chasing the fight the entire time, which is very difficult because Varus's abilities are slow-moving, so they don't do well pursuing fleeing enemies, or in this case, enemies who are retreating so that they can build space for a Ziggs.
Thanks very much for walking us through that, you two. I'm going to keep the show moving along because we've actually managed to grab someone from Cut Esports. We've got their coach, Michael, on the line, so I'm going to have a quick chat with them and see how they're feeling after winning the first ever Origin Series monthly final. So let's go ahead and bring Michael in and have a quick chat. Are you there, Michael?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, so how does it feel? You have won the first ever Origin Series monthly final, and you beat someone who sent you to the lower bracket. That's gotta put you on cloud 9 right now.
Yeah. Obviously, we are very, very happy. I'm pretty proud of the boys because the day they beat us 2 days ago, we were very heartbroken. We felt like we played quite well. We did many mistakes, and we were keeping up on the games. Both games 2 days ago were actually close. If you see the goal differences and everything, and we knew we could win this. We weren't expecting the first game to be that much of a storm, to be honest. We were expecting they will go for this Yasuo combo. We prepared some things that they can't win against. For example, we weren't expecting, to be honest, the Nasus. I think it was a bad pick from them, but the 3 tanks plus the Evelyn, it's really hard to combo them to death. You need some DPS, and they didn't have that. That's what we prepared first. Game 2, I really need to give props to the team. We played really, really well. We fought back on early as we were expecting, of course, because of their composition, but later the players really managed to make me proud, and I'm really, really happy.
I certainly think they've done that today. One thing I want to talk about is, especially with the jungle, with Eric Boss in particular. So in game 2, you did a really interesting rotation. You sent your duo lane to the Baron, and you then gave an early leash to the Shyvana to get the jungle online early. Is that just the backup strat when you don't have the Evelyn available, or is that something that's just prepared specifically as a set piece?
Okay, basically, to be honest, we picked some picks on the whole tournament that we didn't practice on scrims that much, because one of the picks we weren't expecting to get banned too much was the Gragas, and suddenly Gragas wasn't an option for almost the whole tournament. And with Gragas, what we have practiced is that if Gragas is on a matchup that the enemy requires many resources, at the same time it's counter matchup for him, and in general the enemy top laner is kind of win condition for the enemy team as a whole, we can just send Gragas to bot lane, don't take any resources, force vertical jungle so we can consistently dive the enemy top laner if we need to, of course, and just make this trade that our top laner is weak, but it doesn't matter because your top laner needs resources, our top laner doesn't need it. It's not that much about the strategies, it's more about focusing the enemy top laner.
Oh, so you did that switch to put the Baron laner behind rather than get your jungle ahead?
Because Greg, it's also actually a secure way to put your jungler ahead because we had a scaling jungler. So if we can secure some farm for him, it is really good. But the most important thing for us was that our Gragas won't be completely useless.
Yeah, that's... Well, hey, you won the match. It didn't look as clean as it did in game number 1, but you still managed to pull through at the end. So I'm going to start looking ahead the big picture. You've secured yourselves a bunch of points. You've secured yourself some prize money. You're obviously going to be signing up for the July qualifier, and you're going to go through that again. What are you going to work on in the, air quotes, off-season to take Cut Esports to the next level?
Okay, one thing we need to work a little bit is that we are ending sometimes, as you saw throughout the tournament. Sometimes we had team fighting composition, and our main engaged tank with Malphite, for example, would be on the other side of the map split pushing. We need to cut a little bit the ending. We need to learn a little bit of setting up better the objectives. Even though we are on quite good timings, I think we can improve on that as well. And we need to fix a little bit our champion pool, because I feel like we played the same champions over and over again. So yeah, these are the main 3 points we will probably focus on for the next tournament.
Okay, and before I send you on your way, Michael, have you got any messages for any fans of Cut Esports or any community members at home? You can do that in English or you can do that in your native language, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Thank you very much for everyone that's supporting us. We will try to remain #1 in MENA, and when we will need to face CIS and Europe and Turkey, we will try to make MENA proud.
All right, there you have it, Michael. Thank you so much, and congratulations on the big win. Cut Esports, your grand final winner right here in the Origin Series.
Thank you very, very much.
Well, Yuko and TJ, that surprised me a little bit. I didn't think that they were focusing too much on getting the Baron laner ahead. I always looked at it through the lens of the jungle advantage, but does that start to make sense for you, Yuko?
Honestly, it does. Well, if you just want to funnel or just put a lot of gold or kills or maybe even EXP and lead to a certain lane, and we are pretty much aware that Baron laners, they're all about that duel. They're all about that sustain as well. So just putting it, investing all of these things rather in a different lane, it can help a lot, and it really did pay off for their team. Thus, I honestly was expecting Sunlight to bag that game number 2, but no, it's going to be a 2-0 in favor of them.
2-0 to Cut, and that's only our first grand final of the night. Let's move over to our second grand final of Group B. Our Group B grand final, Unicorns of Love versus Trovo Nova. We saw how this went last time. Unicorns of Love in a very close series, walking away with the victory. But as TJ said in our pre-show, Trovo Nova are on the warpath. They've got something to prove. And we're going to jump straight into the draft for game number 1.
And this is so exciting to me because Trovo Nova are a team I've been following for such a very long time in the mobile esports scene in Europe. And I'm waiting for the playoff buff, Yuko. I need to see them step up.
You know what? You mentioned this earlier. When it comes to playoffs buff, Trovo Nova definitely will have this. But let's see, in what form will this playoffs buff show? So Unicorns of Love, first ban is going to be an Ahri. I have been seeing a lot of Ahri bans, and you did highlight this earlier alongside Hells because of that early to mid game power. And first ban for Trovo Nova is going to be Ziggs. No satchel charge, no half of the demolition duo.
And a big part of this for the Unicorns of Love ban here is Poseidon. I talked at great length yesterday about how he is the key playmaker for the team. He is kind of the initiator. And you don't just see his Ahri banned out, you also see Poseidon lose his Twisted Fate. The other thing I'm looking as a major pick for Trovo Nova is the Lee Sin for Vex. I would think that would be very high priority, especially having lost a lot of the proactive playmakers that they love to put on Poseidon.
Lee Sin is open, so maybe they can pick that up. But prio pick is going to be Camille. Most of these teams, if you're going to look at their first picks, it heavily relies on these flex champions. Basically, they're trying to win the mind games against their opponents.
And Camille is one of those. Obviously played a decent amount over on the top side of the map, can also be shifted down into the jungle. And here we go. I was calling for the Lee Sin. Kai'Sa fills a similar role in terms of early game boost. I'm similarly excited for Kai'Sa, especially Hydro's Kai'Sa. And they focus, instead of worrying about the jungle, Vex is very flexible. Maybe that's the thought process. We get Kai'Sa Braum right off the bat, which is one of the strongest bot lane duos in the European region.
I have to echo your thoughts that Kai'Sa kind of works like a Lee Sin. I mean, if you look at it, Lee Sin can isolate or can chase someone that is isolated from the team. Kai'Sa, Killer Instinct, kind of jump in, connecting onto the Void Seeker, and now you have a Garen for our Unicorns of Love and an Orianna to beat. So okay, we'll be seeing a lot of shockwaves for this game. Maybe gonna connect over to the Hextech Ultimatum from Camille right here.
And you have some good ball carriers in this composition. I'm interested because this very clearly for Trovo Nova was trying to get a counter pick option, both for their top laner and their mid laner. That's one of the reasons why you grab Kai'Sa Braum. It's a very safe bottom lane. It's hard to counter, and this means that later on you can have a response. One of those responses to an Orianna would be a Galio. Galio does reasonably well in the matchup, not just because they can get in melee range and burst, but also because you have that magic damage shield built in. So Galio does very well against mages that want to poke him during the early game.
And speaking of pokes towards the early game, they will be picking up, Unicorns of Love will be picking up a Xayah. Does not have that much presence in the early game, but towards the late game. And if you pair her off with a Nami, all right, hands off, hands down, I really like this Dragon Lane matchup. DJ, I feel like you have something to say about this.
I mean, I feel like you've seen the same games. We've both been casting the Icon series. Xayah Nami, it is sick. And on the opposite side, you also have Trovo Nova trying to counter that. They've got the Galio, Kai'Sa, and Yasuo. It's going to be the Yasuo thrown into the mix so that you have that big follow-up to the Kai'Sa Galio engage. I couldn't be happier that Yasuo is set up by so many things in this composition. Trovo Nova have backdoored an incredibly terrifying teamfight composition.
Yeah, that's the thing that stood out to me the most. So when I saw the Yasuo get locked in, I was like, pretty much everyone has a knock-up apart from the Kai'Sa, and I think it'd be kind of silly. Thankfully, Samira isn't in Wild Rift, otherwise we could have had an AD carry that might have had a knock-up as well. But yeah, Yasuo is going to be set up for success here. I just want to talk generally, if you say who's won this draft, just very quickly, Yuko, who would you say has won the draft?
Okay. I really love the Xayah and Nami Dragon Lane, but I'm going to have to go with Trovo Nova. You pressured me, man.
Yuko's giving it over to Trovo Nova in the draft. Let's throw it over to D-Man and Dezichu and see what they think.
Thank you very much. Yes, I gotta be honest. I kind of like Unicorns a lot. I felt Trovo Nova's was like massively easy to spot. Like I saw that coming, the Braum coming, and then as soon as that Wukong was coming, it's like, okay, so Yasuo last pick. So I think it was massively telegraphed, and Unicorns of Love are like, okay, we know what's coming, and they built around it.
Yeah, I think really you could have gone for any pick, something like a Diana even towards the end there, which both teams have utilized once or twice throughout the tournament. Anything that stacks in off the back of a big engage, because you know exactly what you're going to see. Like you say there, D-Man, you're going to see the Wukong going in. You're going to see the Galio flying in over the top. All you want is someone that can capitalize on the chaos that causes to really fly. Speaking of potential chaos, at least at the start, we spoke about this previously, about teams liking to get aggressive, at least in the start of things. And I think between both sides here, at least, the safety being the right play.
Yeah, and the ward actually worked out well there. So Coldstar got the ward down, spotted the entire team and said, okay, well, that sets you guys up and you can see exactly what's going on. It was Sneeland just went across and warded out the blue. So they know exactly what's going to go on. That's going to help them with the jungle pathing. I think we're seeing the Braum going to go out with the leash on that one, or certainly try and help something out and sweep it out. But either way, Trovo Nova's Vex is going to be the man in the jungle. The Wukong, let's see what he can do. It's going to be all about whether he can get this up to speed as quick as possible, because we know that Kalista is going to be going hunting.
Vex had an absolute field day in their series yesterday, playing on the Lee Sin, bullied the Olaf. They did catch him out admittedly for first blood quite early on, so why not try it again? It's why we saw Trovo Nova going for a pretty aggressive stack at the very start of the game. But it was what he then did after they shut down the jungle, was move towards the bot side, capitalize on the advantage that you have no support line coming in from the jungle. Olaf, shut down the bot lane, and then the rest of the game is basically yours for the taking. They only really had a top laner to try and do anything, and they couldn't scale particularly well. It was really smart. So I'm looking towards Vex here, known as one of, I'd say, one of the most successful jungle players that you'll see in mobile esports. It's all about his impact here on the back of Poseidon also being able to ult in and seeing how the rest of the team then plays around that, because Hydro, he's the one who I really want to see capitalize on the chaos.
And the invade is already on. We saw it come in a second. It's all come from the back of that one single little ward that went down, spotted out, and says, we know exactly what we're going to do. Yeah, this counter invade is also coming out. You can see towards the top side of the screen. So obviously the Vex is going to help the counter on there. Clamara is going to help him come down. It will lose Clamara's a little bit of lane coverage, but that's fine. Coldstar will just farm it up. And you can see Coldstar's kind of like freezing the lane at this moment, keeping it around his tower.
Yeah, I mean, the tower helping to at least slightly start pushing things out here. Wouldn't have too much to worry about. That lane will begin pushing. But I think Clamara's wants to go for at least a bit of an early scrap and early trade, as you often see in the lane here. Garen, just everyone knows, extremely oppressive in some of these lanes. And I think the mobility of the Yas will help him to escape some of those trades. But it's all about the scaling for the Yas. We keep on talking about the comp. That's what we're looking for.
Kalisto just sneaking up, unspotted so far. So the problem is the lane is pushing. Clamara has no inclination to stop it pushing either. They're going to have to dive, and he's going to be on the tower. The Grand Challenge comes down. He should be enough. There goes the slam coming out from Coldstar, and that's first blood.
That's all you really need. Only the Ignite and the ultimates being committed there as well. So still full sums up in terms of the flashes for both the jungler and the top laner. I think you were right there as well. The lane was pushing. If they let that bounce the tower, it was never going to come off too well. So pulling the trigger and just saying, look, there's 1 million left. Let's just go for it. We can take a little bit of tower damage to make that work is a great way to get this top lane scaling. And look at that. Coldstar already straight onto the Sunfire buy.
Hextech ultimatum. I mean, they did take a couple of tower hits, but let's face it, they caught him right on the edge of it. And just perfect for the Garen ulti to come through. So down the bot lane, unsuccessful. Didn't work out. That's the gank, this sort of counter gank that they tried to pull off, knowing that the jungler was going to be free in the top, and it's kind of backfired for them. And that's kind of the bonus that you have there with the Nami and the Xayah. You can escape that danger.
You can see these items starting to come online as well as they flick into the side. In fact, observers, if we could get the item board up to have a quick look at what's coming through ahead of Drake, that would be great. Thank you very much. You're seeing there with the double redemption coming out as well. Sometimes you'll see some junglers do this. They go towards buying their first support item here, or the utility item is what you're looking towards. Tier 3 boots. Going towards the double redemption there for some extra healing on the other side. None of that currently online. So look for when those redemptions come down, the damage they bring. Poseidon already being burst through.
Yeah, that's done. I mean, it was a 4-man dive in mid. There's not a lot that he can do about that one, even as best he could hope for. To get the flash through didn't work out, but that sets up the dragon perfectly.
Not walking into lane's also a great idea when you either A, don't know where 4 members are, or B, when Drake is on the table. Look, you need to be alive for this. In fact, he's back up, but with no ult on side. As it comes off the back of it, here comes the fight.
Tries to go sliding in there, doesn't work. Dragon goes across, the Hextech ultimatum comes down. Hydro can't get out of that one. That will finish him off, and that will be another 3 kills going the way of the Unicorns of Love.
That's the small things again, talking about the Galio being caught out, not being there to provide the cover to be the tanky front line, because Vex, he'll be going damage in the early game. You won't see him being a big beefy tank, then you're leaning entirely on Grizzly Q. Is he really going to stack up against a Garen just charging at you face first? A Shockwave spamming into your team, for example? Hell no, is he? And that just goes to show the small little thing of losing a Galio early on, what that can transcend and snowball into is quite a loss. Sure, it's only a 3k gold lead, it's only first Drake, but in a game like this, everything matters.
Absolutely, and you can sometimes be sort of baited into thinking you're tankier than you are in the Galio, and you can see it was, in fairness, the majority of the damage came out from the Garen, of course, and then ending it with a Demacian Justice. But this was the team fight.
It was just one of those, again, where you're in a 5 versus 4, nothing really to worry about. The Hextech ultimatum, by the way, honestly think Camille in the right hands is the strongest jungler in the game. The fact that you can guarantee a catch onto someone, you lock them down, they cannot get away, it's horrific.
Oh dear. And they're doing it again, once again. There's the wave coming through to try and slow them out. Oh, the jungle's not going to work. Kalisto does go down. So in the end, that transfers very nicely. But Poste, you've got to back away from this. You're taking too much damage. In the end, we'll back away. So finally, it ends up being a 1-for-1, but it worked out well. Honestly, in a 4v3 defense, I'd be happy with that.
It's so unfortunate because Poseidon on the Galio came flying in with the ultimate, but the Yas had already burnt the ultimate onto a single target at the front end of that fight. Could have been a different story if the times had lined up ever so slightly different. Not at all that Clemaris did something wrong there. I think he had to bring the ult out, else they were in dire straits. Of course, get the reset on that shield. Helps out a little bit in terms of survivability. Someone's knocked up and can't react during that time. It does help, but unfortunately still, another couple of kills go in the way of UOL.
Oh, Coldstar is feeling so aggressive right now.
Well, there you go.
Justice puts paint to Clemaris, and that's going to be a tower.
Oh, it looks like just Garen things, right? Build full tank and melt everyone. Lol. It's what you do best. Once you start getting those stacks up, it absolutely kills you. And as you saw there, 1v1 in the Yas, who's now going to be really struggling to have a massive impact in these mid-game team fights. It's a rough one. And for Trova, the pains of the last series are going to be remembered here as well. They're down quite considerably. 5k gold about to go even further as the next tower comes down with the Herald out as well. It's not looking good.
I think they might try and go for the tier 2 here. They've got the 4-man stack, the Herald. I mean, it's a bit of a waste, really, for the Herald, in all honesty, because they didn't need him there. There was no reason. They may go, actually, they're just going to turn a bird, go for top. Uh-oh, Posse, you're in trouble, son. There's going to be a full 5-man dive coming in. There's not a lot he can do about that. The ultimatum comes in, and as you say, it is... I mean, there's no escape, effectively, because everybody else can dive on you. You can't get away with it. But this is a bit of a misplay, I would say, because they may give the tower across here to Trova. As I say that, in comes Coldstar, quickly starts things off, spin to win, and just forces them away. But there's a lot of damage done on the mid.
But spin to win and take basically no damage as well as the story of Garen at this point. There also does come the point later in the game when items start getting online where, yes, it's a tank, but you can burn through him, especially with the armor pen coming out of champs like the Yas. We'll see how things play out there. No doubt Black Cleaver coming online at some point for Vex is what you're looking towards. Again, speaking about Vex, he was a player that I was really excited to see his impact in the early game. Compare his impact to that of Kaleso, who's 0, 1, and 7 on the Camille. These basically doesn't exist right now. It is all on the Camille, making things happen around the map, and Garen being an absolutely massive juggernaut for them.
Yeah, definitely working out well right now. The irony is, right, Coldstar is listed as the support. Yeah, he's slamming down on that Garen. They're pulled in the substitute Vistara, and it seems to be working out well from Unicorns and Love, fully in control. They're going to take this dragon, not even going to be contested. They're going to try and force some punishment maybe onto the top tower, judging by the distance they're going. You can see the three of them coming up here. I think they want to try and set a gank up for Coldstar, maybe.
I mean, there's something they've got to do here. I at least admire the fact that they said, look, forget about trying to fight over Drake. We know these fights are not going to go our way. We've got the Yas up top. That's the big combo in this composition that you're looking for. They try and catch onto the Xayah, but we all know exactly what happens when that ult comes out.
Yeah, not going to work out. You can see Grizzly will just have to back away from this one. The wave will come through as well, and they're going to buy time just to tip-tap, work that turret down, tapping away at it, and again, the damage coming out. Kaleso there, Coldstar's now in here as well, so it's a 5-man stack at the top here. Trova just going to try and back away. There's minions on the top lane as well, so they could easily just rotate up there, or maybe just sweep through and clear out the jungle as well.
Yeah, just slowly playing the game that they need to close things out. At 8k in the lead, it's going to be really hard to see Trova really fight their way back in. Garen will be chased away, but at the same time, you've got some more pressure coming through into mid lane. This is all 20 seconds before Baron spawns as well. I don't expect that you'll see UOL go for the hard burn of it, but they will no doubt use that as a bit of a bait tool here, because Trova know if they lose the Baron, the game is done. Baron is just so ridiculously powerful in this game with the push pressure.
Yeah, the pressure on Trova because obviously, you know, they're 4 turrets down. They haven't got 1 down. The mid turret is pretty low. The bot turret's taking a little bit of damage from minions, but that's about all right now. And of course, that's the equation. 8,000 gold on 10 minutes. It is a big difference. It is a big difference. They're going for it. Without Coldstar there, they could try and get a pick.
This is the time to do it. You're absolutely right. The Garen on the bottom side, they should be looking for a play right now to try and force it, and 2 ults come out. They burn both the Kai'Sa ultimate, they burn Grizzly Q's ultimate. That's 2 big kills for them. In they go again.
Is he going to be able to get away? No, the bubble comes in. Absolutely clutch from Vistara there to save the day. And while this is all happening, Coldstar's happily just chipping away at this tier 2 turret.
Exactly what Garen does best. Leave him in a side lane. He can 1v1 anyone that comes, or just keep on pushing seemingly forever thanks to the regen of the passive. But I can't stress enough for Trovanova. That would have been their time. They had 2 catches. The one immediately onto the Zyros we saw not too long ago, and the second one that then came immediately afterwards thanks to that heroic bubble, making sure that no one went down. That's as good a chance as they're going to get, because I guarantee you're going to see UOL start grouping now, thinking about that Baron, or even just potentially pushing in for the game end. But it's very unlikely you're going to see them be that split again.
Absolutely. And the problem is, you know, going back to what we were talking about, in the pick and ban phase, you saw what they were building for. That's why they went for that disengage. That tidal wave is a massive, massive disengage tool for when the likes of Wukong's trying to dive into you with just obviously get the Galio tumbling in comes the Yasuo. They read that wombo combo so well, and Unicorns of Love just looked at it and said, yeah, we know exactly what you're all about. We've got the disengage for it, and we can get the picks, and it's working brilliantly for them.
Absolutely. Well, things have kind of slowed down slightly for UOL in the mid game. It's mad to think that really this is at the 11, 12-minute mark at this point. It feels much more like a 15, 16 one with the way that UOL have had full control of the jungle. They've got wards down in either side of it. They're thinking about Baron constantly. And just to replay this potential catch here that I was on about, there was no kind of big go button here to say, yes, this is the time to make things happen. I think the Yas was actually a little bit too far away to pop the ultimate when the initial lockup came through. And I'm sure Vex was there screaming, guys, come on, look, we've got the combo, we've caught someone. This is our time, but they just don't have the damage to capitalize.
Kalisto comes in, steals away the red buff, so not even going to be able to get that one, I'm afraid. Hydro, unlucky son. Coldstar working his way up, Dragon up in 15 seconds, so that's likely to be the next focus target. But I gotta be honest, I'm not sure Trovanov want to fight for it. It may even be Baron. It may be Baron, the position that they're going for.
It's one of those, again, where they have to force the fight at some point here. You can't just let them take everything, but the question is when. There is still a 10k gold gap, but with the way they're moving here, you can see they want to get in for this one, but UOL are being so cautious. They just want to catch someone. They don't care about the Baron itself, and here they may have found what they want.
Keeping my eye on that Shockwave because they're really grouped up here. That's a perfect Shockwave opportunity. They're not going to go for it, though. I did notice it looked like just for a moment, Hydro is separated from the team, and I could see Kalisto 100% funneling for him to try and get that Hextech ultimatum on him, and obviously just solo pick him out there. But Kalisto's going to go down and try and solo Dragon. So they're going to give up the ground at the moment in the river, but that's fine. Trovanova, they're trying to rotate for this one. Look at Coldstar, he's ready and waiting. Coldstar's engaged on this one. He's pushed them away, and they've already used Burner Flash there.
Again, good caution by Trovanova, but for UOL, it's pushing all the advantage they need. Let the jungler take the dragon by himself, and you guys focus on zoning everyone else off. That's the third dragon going down. The next one they have to fight, the Baron they have to fight. It's going to come down to crunch point at some point for Trovanova, but they've been relying on these 1 or 2 item power spikes to come online. They're starting to see them. The Yas is getting towards the IE, for example. The Kaiser's finished that, plus the Blade of the Ruined King. There's the 2 items on the Galio as well. Sure, they're still quite far behind, but at least in a spot where it feels like they might be able to do something in these fights.
Yeah, and it's unlike, obviously what we saw with the cut game, it's not stacked on just that one champion. It is across the board, which is really where you want it, because the danger is when it's stacked on that one person, you can kind of just focus down that one player that's maybe OP. I mean, in the case of the Evelynn, it was massively OP. Uh-oh, here we go. Vex is going to be the focus. Okay, that's not too bad. He can just walk away from this one. He's going to get focused down. There's going to be the ultimatum coming in, so that will lock the 2 of them up. He has got the Guardian Angel. The rest of the team going to focus in there. They are looking to try and get Coldstar down. Coldstar will get popped out there, but it's going to be a 2-for-1 in the end. Make down a 3 as Hydro should go down, will get picked off. Smeelin's just going to back himself away from that one, and in the end, a 3-for-0 because I think the Coldstar had a Guardian Angel.
Yeah, they're going to have to do something magic here to deal with Clemares, I think, in the 5 versus 1. He's got a lot to do. I think he has got no choice but to back away. The TP coming out from the Garen to join in. They can go for the end here. There's not enough time.
Yeah, they don't need to care about Baron. They just come in, finish the game off, get themselves one in the series. A 12-1 game in the end. Even the Aqua Prison coming in on the Yasuo just to stick the nail in the coffin. Unicorns of Love absolutely dominating that first game.
Garen is disgusting. Massive tanky front line. In that last fight, they poured everything into it as well. And even then, he walks away with like a slither of HP. 5 seconds later, back to 100%, mate. Not a concern at all. That tanky top lane was absolutely a problem from start to finish, whether it was split pushing, going for the 1v1s, but all of it I will give again off the back of the Camille ganks. Excellent ganking, great Hextech ultimatum use, constantly making things happen. MVP for me was Colares in that game.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Love the picks, love the bans. We'll see how it changes up after the break. We'll see you in a few.
Feels like a little bit of deja vu as Unicorns of Love are leading the series in this rematch for the grand finals of Group B. Trovo Nova falling a little bit behind, and quite frankly, it looks like the composition they drawn was not played to absolute perfection. But before we dive into that, TJ, I want to open the floor to you to have a little bit of a discussion about how Unicorns of Love were playing the map perfectly to try and shut down Trovo.
Yeah, I really liked, and we talked about this on cast, we talked about the map play, the way the early Camille ganks worked so well. I also loved just their jungle clear. But all of that led to this, and this was the team fight for me that opens the entire map up. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play, and I want you to watch, first of all, Camille gank. Huge value. They've instantly half HP'd the main turret defender. And what is going on to me as I'm watching this, I was getting very excited because I was watching the Nami setup positioning. And anytime I'm a support main, anytime a Nami is doing this, and in the same area is both is both Orianna and Xayah, I'm having a great time because they combo their CC perfectly with this. You throw through the wave, everyone is knocked up, and what you can do now that everyone is clustered behind the turret is throw the two other CC spells that we have available on top. You see the feathers go over the top of the team fight. Everyone got clustered, everyone was gathered because of that Nami wave forcing them to defend the team fight in a very specific way. So this is just a very clean demonstration of why this Orianna Nami Xayah comp works so well in early game team fights. And it is the first example, I think, of this team composition being leveraged to bully across the map.
I want you to go back to talk a little bit more about the map control here, TJ, as well, because the team fight's impressive, but sometimes it's about the macro for a team like Unicorns of Love.
And
yeah.
Yuko, you can jump in there as well. If you've got thoughts on the Unicorns of Love macro, by all means, take it away. I'm not going to stop you.
All right, so I actually like to touch up on how Unicorns of Love played that one beautifully. I did say that Jaffer Trovo Nova is the one that was supposed to win this. We were waiting for that beautiful last breath, but the only last breath we ever saw in that game was at the 15-minute mark, and it did not end well. Kai'Sa was the one that was left alive after that skirmish, but jumping back to Unicorns of Love, they were just able to time all those ganks perfectly. Tactical sweeps from Camille, the slows connecting, and Nami just going with the follow-up. It just helped a lot and gave a lot of openings for their team.
I think the thing that really excited me, that's just the marker of that early game dominance, is at no point was there any jungle for Trovo Nova to farm. At no point during that game were they able to get out into their own jungle and farm their own camps, because it was constantly controlled by Unicorns of Love. And every time Unicorns of Love won a team fight, sure, they get the objective, sure, they get the turrets, but they also are taking care of all the small camps, because that is the way that you bring a composition like Nova's back into the game.
So when you're looking at what we could be potentially seeing for game number 2, Trovo Nova obviously need to draft the composition they can fully execute on. There's nothing wrong with going for the Yasuo Wombo combo, but like I said, the first last breath coming in that late into the game, not for me, Chief. So TJ, you're a bit of a Nova expert. What do you think is going to be a composition that Trovo can use to bounce back in this next game?
Yeah, well, I'm going to leverage my Nova expert status here. I would have changed my prediction had I realized that it wasn't going to be Poseidon playing the Yasuo. And that's no shade on Clemaris, who's a very, very good top laner. But I felt like Clemaris was always one of the best top laners in Europe because they were so good at playing across the map, split from the team. And I think we saw that a lot of the time in that game. As Yuko was talking about, the Yasuo wasn't with the team during team fights because it wasn't being played by a mid laner who's used to positioning near the rest of the team. So I want to see them draft a composition that doesn't rely on them to play outside of their normal roles, outside of their normal responsibilities on the team. For me, that means getting something for Vex to boost out the early game on. I talked about Lee Sin a great deal. That means, for me, getting something for Poseidon that he can control the early map on. That could be a Galio, but a Galio top lane, as this Galio was for much of the game, doesn't have access to control the rest of the map.
All right, then. Well, I think we stalled this on long enough, TJ. Let's go ahead and jump into game number 2. Game number 2 for our Group B Grand Final. Unicorns of Love are currently leading the charge with a 1-0 victory. We've already identified that Unicorns of Love have had a bit of a macro advantage so far in game number 1. As we look towards the pick and ban Yuko, what are some adaptations that you think Trovo Nova can bring in the draft phase specifically to try and edge out a win here?
All right, so one of the adjustments they could do though is, I do like the Yasuo, but they just weren't able to pull through. So maybe they can go back to what works for them and something that they're much more comfortable with. Maybe the usual protect the queen, protect Kai'Sa combination. And like what TJ said, just switch back to the roles that they're comfortable with. I was actually looking forward to how Poseidon will perform in the mid lane as well. We did not get to see that. So hopefully now we will be seeing the players in their comfort roles. Now, ban so far is going to be a Seraphine and still an Ahri. No Ahri still for this game number 2.
Ahri being denied, Unicorns of Love are going to have to deal with the fact that Trovo Nova get first pick. So if they go for the double Poseidon bans again, if they get rid of a Twisted Fate in this second cycle, that does open up... Oh, interesting. So I'm going to nerd out here. Because they don't ban out the Twisted Fate, they're kind of demanding that Trovo Nova first pick a Twisted Fate, which would be very interesting because Twisted Fate isn't a traditional power pick. That's what Kai'Sa is. That's why Kai'Sa gets prioritized here. So now I'm looking Unicorns of Love. Do you get to... It didn't work out. You didn't bait them to pick a Twisted Fate over a traditional power pick. Do you take the Twisted Fate away, or do you just play into it?
I don't think they're gonna pick up Twisted Fate. They are gonna lock in that Garen, and I was waiting for them to actually pick up Camille. I'm not sure if they're gonna pick Camille now though, but at the very least, they're prepping if ever Trovo Nova is gonna pick up this Twisted Fate, because Garen, tanky frontliner, and I was right, they are gonna pick up that Camille.
I think Trovo Nova's ideal composition here is Twisted Fate Lee Sin. Poseidon plays really good map control on the Twisted Fate. It is going to be a little bit harder here into the Garen in the side lanes. We saw how effective Coldstar was as that tanky oppressive force, and it kind of sucks to gank a Garen as a Twisted Fate. You just throw the gold card, and he shrugs it off. So you could see an adaptation as a result of that. All this to say, I'm not too surprised Orianna comes out. I'm now looking for a Bull carrier. One thing that works very well with this composition to me is maybe a Jarvan for Trovo Nova. We'll see if that finally comes out on the European stage.
Unicorns of Love, they did see that Kai'Sa first pick earlier on, and they are yet to get their support. So, Trovo Nova still yet to get their support. So now Unicorns of Love, they said, why not take the best support possible for this Kai'Sa and pair it off with a Xayah? Stuns, roots for days, that can be a lot of help with all the team fights. So Unicorns of Love, they still want to go with this team fight centered composition.
Ooh, this is straight out of Southeast Asia. The Icons series, Janna has been pick ban all tournament long. We have seen a fair share of Janna over in Europe as well, but I don't think she's valued as highly, and I think that's incorrect. So I'm very excited to see Janna added to this mix. It's a little bit lighter weight for Trovo Nova, but they have a ton of teamfight power, a ton of skirmishing power. If they can get those 3v3s in the early game, they're set up to win them.
I literally just said that Unicorns of Love, they're all about team fights. You also have Corki to finish it off. But if you have a Moonstone and you have an explosive cast ready any time of the game. I guess this is just Turbo Nova making sure that they have a lot of ways to disengage, and they would want to focus on maybe splitting the team fight. I mean, Fiora, she can just duel anyone here. Orianna has a very good burst damage, so maybe she can try and catch Corki or Sai off guard. But those are just the things that came on top of my head the moment I see the complete draft.
Well, it looks like Unicorns of Love are close to getting out this series win. They are at match point right now. Trovo Nova, they've widened the scope of their team composition, and hopefully that'll be enough for them to force out a game number 3. There is only one way to find out, though. Let's throw it over to Desertu and D-Man to take us through all of the action.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. Much more interesting pick of bands this one, Daria. I'm kind of liking both teams, I gotta be honest. And I'm glad the Seraphim's banned out because, you know, the noisiest champion in the game by far. But yeah, honestly, I kind of like both these comps.
Yeah, I do like that. Again, we've seen Trovo Nova go towards, not Trovo Nova, UOL going towards what worked. Why fix what ain't broken in a way towards the top lane, the top side of things with the Camille and the Garen. You'll see more of those two playing alongside each other. But on the other side, the big one for me, whenever I see the Janna and the Camille together, you know that Kalisa's going to have a miserable time. Grizzly Q could be the difference maker in this game. And even more so, I think, because now Klamara's playing on the Fiora in the top lane, should be able to beat out the Garen after a few levels. Sure, the other game could be a little bit rough, but at least in Wild Rift, her Q range poke is a little bit obnoxious, to be honest with you. She can poke the Garen, she can get away quite safely, no real concerns there, and of course, can riposte out the ultimate as well. So I think those two changes alone, along with the Gragas jungle to do the same sort of thing as the Janna, is going to stop so many of these isolation kills coming in from the Camille, but it's all about shutting down Kalisto. If he's not shut down, you're going to have another repeat of last game.
Yeah, so keep your eye on that jungler. At the moment, it is going to be simple pathing, no invades early on this time around. Hydro taking a heck of a damage at the start there. Not too surprising up against the Xayah. Xayah will be a bit of a lane bully for a large portion of this one until obviously Hydro can get going. And we're already seeing that twice. He's already had to go back and pick up all the heals as much as he could coming through the fruit, but not working out for him so far, but that's fine. That's fine. Just sit back at the tower, chill. Don't worry about it. Just don't get caught out by this jungle path that we're seeing from Kalisto here. We'll see whether he goes for a possible tower dive.
I doubt it this early on, to be fair. Not until he's level 5, but I know that he's not going to be too far away. In fact, that said, he is going in for it. I'm an absolute liar. Okay.
I didn't expect it, but I was like, okay, maybe it'll happen. Hydra's been taken low a couple of times. Can they juggle the turret damage? Oh, Kalisto and Zac both get away with absolutely nothing. Oh, the minions even getting close to taking him down there. He will back away.
Oh, God, the Ori.
And this time it works. Oh, they're on the wall. Oh, they're on the wall. He got away.
No, he blocked it. The Braum came in front, raised the shield. It stopped the ball dead in its tracks. Otherwise, Zac was dead. Big brain play coming out of the Braum. And yeah, sure, you might say it's only a few seconds, but Zac really wanted to commit to that recall.
Wow. I mean, when games can be decided on the smallest of margins, that is one that will absolutely play off. Let's have a look at this again.
Honestly, it's so painful seeing two members walking away on like 1 HP. Again, beautiful juggling, all 3 shots being soaked up by the Braum initially. And I thought here, the Camille must surely die, gets an extra minion shot, but no, enough there to keep it going. And look at that block coming through again. Absolutely sublime. Beautiful bot lane play coming out from UOL. Sure, it's not an absolutely huge, significant lead at this point, but it's a lead nonetheless.
Yeah, and the Kalisto once again coming in. Ooh, thought about it. They would have stood on a ward this time. He's actually going for the invade. They're reading this well. Is the mid lane going to come down? Yes, looking at doing that. You can see Kalisto. They're well aware of it. Look at the Corki positioning. He's already blocking that off as well, so they're well aware of what's going on. But it looks like they're going to give it up, and they're actually going to go for the mid lane. What are you doing, Poste? Why are you so far out of your lane? You knew the jungler was in your side.
I mean, that for a start, it's Camille. Every single time. It's like I said earlier on, I genuinely think she is one of the strongest junglers in the game in the right hands. And Kalisto, every single time that ult comes off cooldown, is finding a lane to go into and making something happen. It's only been the once so far in this game, but in the prior game, he was 0, 1, and 7, let's not forget, involved in all of their kills in the early game. In this one, it's just clean and clinical. Nothing for Poseidon to do.
Yeah, I mean, a Hextech ultimatum with a Corki just blaring on you. Nothing you can do about that. So, Dragon up, Mounted Drake comes out. Unicorns Love are in a position to take it. They're not going to do it just yet because everybody's going back to buy. So, they're making sure they've got all their items before they start the fight, which I like.
Let's take a look at the items again, actually, before this one really does break down. I'm keen to see who's bought what stepping into the fight. I imagine with all the bats that came through, you'll see 1 or 2 stepping in. Maybe not quite time to take a look, but with the squaring over the wall, Vex needs to make something happen here. Goes in as well, has the full combo, won't get it!
No, Kalisto manages to win out on the smite there, working out well. We'll just disengage both teams in the end, so it was just a simple dragon. No kills either side. Everybody able to get out. A couple of flashes burnt either side. Tell a lie, it was just Grizzly.
You have so much damage on the Gragas to be able to burn through this as well, don't forget as well. You have the W hit coming down, you have the Q going off at the same time, the ult if you want it, plus the smite, yet still it's secured away by Kalisto. I spoke about Vex and how much I was really excited to see him have an impact in the early game. As it stands right now, that impact is basically 0 once more.
Yeah, Vex is in a tricky situation right now. We know how strong the Gragas can be. But at the moment, I think it's more down to the crazy aggression that Kalisto's showing. He's going down to the bottom lane again. I mean, he's just been focusing on this lane. This time around, Cold Star's down here, so they have lane swap to try and keep it in play. But we also saw, obviously, that Sneelander was there as well, so he's going to go back up to the mid in the Corki. So let's see if these lane swaps pay dividends.
I'm looking towards the items, though, and just looking at how close we're having with the Camille and the Corki about to get the Trinity Force online. Once that's on side for both players there, they're just going to have that nice little power spike you start to hit. Yeah, sure, Trinity Force got nerfed recently, about 20% attack speed taken away, but it's still incredibly strong. And in comes the Garen once more. He might have actually been CC'd out to death here as well, low under the tower. But do they go for this? The Janna using the ult to try and keep herself alive. It will be enough. Can't quite bring down Hydro, but the same elsewhere.
The Grand Challenge also going to come through. The Grand Challenge into the Hextech ultimatum. They're trying to do what they can, but at the moment, it's not really working out for them. Oh, and the stun comes in. They're fancying that one. The second they saw the stun, they were like,
oh my
God,
what?
I can kill him. And look at Zac. Look at the hit points again.
Oh, I mean, Zac was being focused by a cannon minion. I thought surely he'd go down, but absolutely not. UOL are treading a line right now, and that line is becoming very blurry very quickly because consistently you've got players walking away on like single-digit HP. It's absolute madness.
Yeah, and while all that happened, I think Coldstar did actually get killed in the AES. This is the one death they've had. In fairness, you know, he dragged it out. They took a while in a 3v1, as it happens with, obviously, a Garen. And I'm wondering, are they going to go for the Rift Herald here? Probably just get the Scuttle quickly first. And yes, they will start the Rift Herald off.
It's playing out exactly the same as the previous game, mind you. And again, scarily, almost compared to how Vex played the game yesterday. Start off with some jungle pressure, put the focus on the bot side, perma-gank it, and make sure the bot lane is shut down. Kalisto is doing exactly that today. They get the dragon, they rotate over to now pick up the second objective in the Herald. Everything's going their way. And for Trovo Nova, again, can you really afford to sit back and let this one slowly run away from you? That being said, look at the gold difference though, right? It's less than a K at this point, and it has been since the first blood came through. So although it looks like they are losing pretty hard right now, gold-wise, they're actually incredibly even.
Yeah, so this was the solo 1v3. We cut away from it just towards the end there, but he got a lot of damage down.
Yeah, I think for Grizzly Q, the ult coming out was more the security measure, if nothing else. That all went pretty well for them on the bottom side for the finish off, but up here was the interesting fight that we didn't get the full picture of. Pomares, I think, thinking, I can try and stop this one, and naturally you're going to get yourself ulted off by the Camille immediately afterwards. But rather than focusing on anything else, with the Grand Challenge going down, the heal should be coming out, but again, it's the Braum flashing away at the final second. Twice now that he's done that, tanking up all the damage and running a big risk. Because don't forget that if he dies with the Grand Challenge on him and at least one of those procs already being, well, procs, one of the vitals being procs, it will deploy the healing circle. The Fiora suddenly is in a much better position. So again, excellent timing coming out of Bistara.
And once again, we see Unicorn Love just going back, buying those items. Keep your eyes on those because the dragon is up in 10 seconds.
Absolutely. All that's gathering around now. And with this online, the Corki, I'm always really nervous about Corkis, and sure, he's got his 2 big items that he's looking for in the mid game, but a lot of Corkis will just try and beeline it through the middle of a team and get burst out straight after. So keeping a very close eye on how he uses this package, for me, is going to be the big difference maker in the fight, if there's a fight to be had.
Yeah, at the moment you can see with the package available, it does seem it's just going to be a simple takeaway there. We just saw Posse just don't try and a small little steal away. They're going to finish off the Rift Hold. So good use there, just using that Rift Hold as the distraction. Obviously, Trevor Noah just having to deal with that. And there we go, simple as. A goal difference, as you said before, it is still pretty close, only 2,000.
Slowly starting to grow, and question marks on Vex there, I think, for the ultimate, trying to just disband them away so there wasn't some kind of big grouping. I think he was more looking to try and catch someone, force them back towards his team so they could have caught them off the back of that. This is the hard thing about the team. Outside of the Gragas, really, and the Orianna ultimate, there isn't tons of CC on the side for Trova Nova, and here we go. Might be the Fiora being isolated.
Thought about it. It's like the ultimate challenge, right? Who can come out? Grand Challenge versus Hextech Ultimatum. They're kind of like toying with each other. I mean, at the moment, it should be a top laner that comes out on top, but because of the way Kalisa's been playing, because of the way Kalisa's been fed, you're never quite sure.
Nope. Absolutely not. Now you start thinking, by the way, about the Baron is coming online. I don't think you see Unicorns again try and burn this at the 10-minute mark as soon as it comes online. Some teams do when their advantage is great enough. But here it's only about that 1.5k gold lead. Not quite significant. You're looking over to the side of Trova Nova and seeing that for the AD carries especially, there is basically no gold difference. The main difference between the two teams right now exists in the mid lane. It's about a 1,500 gold advantage for Corki. So all this advantage we keep on speaking about, that's where it's currently sat.
The Thornmail coming out for Coldstar there. He's well aware of how it's going to play out for him. He knows he's going to be the focus from the AD carry and from the, obviously, Fiora possibly going for him there. So he's focused on punishing them there. And speaking of punishments, Neeland doing some serious work here. The blue invade could turn into a big team fight here. They're focusing for it. Vex tries to go aggressive, does throw out the explosive barrel there, but more just blast them away. I think he was just trying to maybe single one out. Didn't work out.
Yeah, second time he's done it here, I think, trying to catch someone off and not quite connecting it in the right spot, or just hoping that his team might say, hey, there's an opportunity, let's go for it. But you know that the Orianna Shockwave is your big deal maker here. That's the one that you're looking for. Leading in with Vex dropping the ultimate is only going to split them further to the stage that Poseidon's not going to be able to land a Shockwave. It's again like in the last game where Trova Nova couldn't ever really find an ideal 5v5 bar the very last fight. UOL are the ones just running amok with the game, applying all the pressure and making sure Trova Nova can never get structured.
Yeah, the problem is, it's like, who are they going to put the ball on? I guess, you know, Vex or Clamaris is the focus. Hello, Zach's been caught out on the side there. This is the first real big slip-up for Unicorns of Love. They're going to turn it into a 1-for-1, sorry. Hydro going down. That will be the AD carry picked off, and there's the Monsoon coming out from Grizzly Q just to keep them at bay. But that already burnt. Does manage to heal them off. Clears the wave, and a simple AD carry traded.
If that's the first big mistake for you, well, I think you take that every day of the week, turning it into the 1-for-1. Vex has just finished off the death cap, by the way, so you are going to find those barrels do start chunking out quite a bit now, but it needs to be landing onto the right member. And the big challenge is, you focus the Corki, he's going to jump himself away with the Valkyrie. You focus that Q, he's going to ultimate. He's going to Zhonya's now that he's just picked that up. These AD carries are so safe, and then you've got to deal with a Camille and a Garen going into your backline and trying to kill your own carry. It's looking rough.
So going back, buy-in, chilling, no real threats on the Baron. Actually, a massive lack of wards across the board here, Derry.
Yeah, and one thing I want to touch on, by the way, the funniest thing is this is probably the first time we've had peace in this series. Out of both the series we've done so far today, where you can actually breathe for a second and be like, okay, we can take stock, we can breathe a little bit more here, because focus coming in is going to be on the Dragon. And I agree with you for a second. There wasn't really any wards down. They got a couple down now looking in towards that bottom side of the river, but it's the pressure on the top side too. Not that I expect they'll try and just run away with it and try and sneak a Baron, for example, but it helps to have the idea of when the rotations are coming through.
Oh, good barrel, good damage coming through, but the tower finally drops, and now they're looking to try and get some damage down. You can see Sneeland's going to be the focus of target for that grand challenge from Clamaris, but they will just disengage. So some explosive work coming out there. Maybe giving them pause for thought here before the Dragon. Trova Nova looking in a good spot.
Even with the tower going down the mid, though, like it's still being traded out in the top. So Trova Nova are matching them step for step. Gold lead is still only 1,000. That's what I really want to stress for Trova Nova. They've played this so well to stay relevant. TP coming in from the back and they secure the Dragon.
Should they carry on? Go for it. Absolutely they should. Demacia Justice strikes hard at the heart, and that's going to be the AD carry also focused off. Grizzly Q has to back away from this one. So Hydro and Poste going down. So I got to be honest, a 2 for a Dragon, I think I'm still okay with that. Unicorns of Love, though. Let's see what they can pick up off the back of it, because Baron's available.
That's always the worry. And the Gragas, his ultimate wasn't online. Grizzly Q used his ult stupidly early before the Hextech ultimatum even came out. They were your two tools to keep your AD carry safe, and neither were available when the ultimatum came through. Really messy from Trovo Nova, and now the advantage comes over because Baron's online. They could just turn and burn anyone they want to on the side of Trovo Nova if they can, or just finish the Baron off. That's exactly what they're going for, D-Man.
Yeah, just burn it down. I think Trovo Nova realized they can't really compete with that, and it's still only just that 2,000 gold lead. You know, still not a great deal of turrets going down, but I think we might see that turn around now that the Baron buff is in play.
Yeah, and as we spoke about earlier on, the damage that can do, the gold that it gives you, the minion push that it gives you as an advantage, everything just becomes a lot easier as the attacking teams, especially when minions are as powerful in Wild Rift as they can be at points. Let's see how things shape up, though. You've got this sort of 1-2-1-3-1 being set up by the looks of it, I think. 2 AD carries in the mid lane, Camille the top, Garen on the bottom. Yeah, pick your poison at this point. You don't really want to face up against any of those lanes right now.
Achilles, though, just coming, taking the honey fruit away from them. Keeping the pressure down, getting the lane pressure on all 3 lanes with those Baron buff minions working wonders for them. Leon's doing the same. So good pushing from here, Unicorns of Love, realizing, okay, well, we have the buff. Let's try and get all those tier 2 turrets down. And that would really express lane the gold differential. Because as you can see, it really is only just outside of 2,000 gold, which is doable if they can land a good team fight. Trovo Nova are not out of this yet.
Absolutely, but with all 3 waves crashing into towers at the same time, they're guaranteed to lose at least the one. Probably the second also, because Garen is basically free form on the bottom side now. Fiora wasn't sure where to go, but protecting the middle inhibitor's the big one.
Good work out there. Just keeping that missile barrage going. Sneeland's doing some serious work. There's the 3rd outer turret now, so all 6 outer turrets down onto those inhibitors. Trying to get them worked down. Vex took a big hit there from Zach. That's going to keep on working it. They're just getting pressure from every lane at the moment. That's going to be the first inhibitor turret going down. The bottom pressure. Let's see where they're going to go here, because the double AD carry setup is really punishing them.
Even the Vistara caught out. You haven't got the Braum to protect the front line for the carries anymore. With him falling off, I thought surely they back away. And what was the shockwave for Sidon? They're trying the best to catch Vex in with the Force, but he does get the core key, but at the same time forces the rest back. They give themselves some breathing room, but you just conceded 3 towers, and make it 4 because the inhibitor mid lane is also down. They lost so much for that.
And you know what they got for it? A single dragon. I think it was only an Ocean Drake, wasn't it, as well? So, you know, really nothing for it off the back of 2 kills into a Baron, into 4 trades. That's when you really got to look at what's it worth. Well, I can tell you now, Hydro, this is not worth. You can go gold all you like, but that's going to simply be enough. They're just going to track you down as I say that. The rest of the team will come in. They're going to force them back, but it is a Garen. You can spin to win, and Coldstar does just that.
Again, for Trovo Nova, just finding members caught out, not syncing ultimates together. Vex really with the first big play in terms of the nuking of the core key in the jungle. Outside of that, the ultimates have been scattered. They've been disorganized. They haven't really been synced the way that you need them to be. And I don't know if that's just UOL pressure or Trovo Nova are having a bad day today, but this isn't what we're used to seeing out of them. We're used to seeing much more coordinated play. With things going this way, UOL look pretty sure to be able to close it out and take the series 2-0.
Yeah, Unicorns Love just going to place down the ward coverage. In comes the Infernal, so they're just going to be able to take this one away. No problem. The Elder as well, actually. So should be easy for them there. And you can see just from Bistara. Bistara basically that big tanky front line that a Braum should be. Oh, and they're just going to turn instantly on this one. The Grand Challenge. You don't want to put it onto a Braum. What are you thinking? Don't go for that one. That was a good shockwave there, trying to work them away. But have they got enough damage to back it up? Doesn't look like it. You can see Coldstar. That's going to be the focus. They keep picking off just the wrong champions. Now they're going to try and go for it. Now they're going to dive in. The Hextech ultimatum does come in. And now you can see Unicorns Alive just turning their advantage. Clamaris tries to get away from this one. He will get picked off around the side. And honestly, Unicorns Alive can just do what they want.
Zac frontlining with the Xayah ultimate is the biggest Giga Chad energy I think I've ever seen. Man didn't care, he went in there with the ultimate, came out of that, had the GA, didn't care about going down, but all the focus is kind of on him while Coldstar was recovering behind him, and now they've caught out more. The Gragas falls down, the Grizzly Q should be down in just a couple of seconds as well. Everything's just falling apart. They'll secure the Infernal, they can run up to Drake because Vex is down for 40 seconds. Towards Baron, sorry. They have no excuse to lose this game now. UOL should be going for the throat.
Absolutely should. Let's have a look at this team fight, because it was a long extended one, Derek.
It was, yeah. The initial shockwave coming in off the bat from Vex and then dropping the ult in. That's the first time you've seen that combo really come together, of getting together, then make sure everyone gets hit by that death cap enhanced ultimate out of Vex. But it doesn't matter. I mentioned that going into the front line, didn't care that it was a Fiora that he'd be descending back down to earth right in front of. And yes, health bars are going low. You can see why the side of Trovo Nova still wanted to get involved in the fight, but unfortunately not enough damage to capitalize. And there's that Baron I was speaking about as Vex is just about to come back to life. It's unfortunate, but with members getting caught on Trovo Nova all the time, you can see how this game's gone this way.
Clemaris, you are massively out right now. He's trying to push that bottom wave out, but they are already at your gate. He has to recall as quick as possible because there's powered up minions coming through. This is a real problem. He's going to get back there now, but he's going to be the main damage dealer. There's the turret going down on the outside as well. It's going to work his way through. They could just finish it. Yeah, they don't need to take a fight because look how quick that Nexus is going. Unicorns of Love will take this one over Trovo Nova 2-0.
Well, we don't get the big, explosive, flashy team fight to end, but a game from UOL that just goes to show they fully deserve that victory at the top end of this series. And as the Group B champions, they made Trovo Nova look like they were quite far below them, being completely honest, in those two games. Bullied them around, looked in sync, rotated as a unit. Trovo Nova, not quite the proactive team that we saw yesterday, which is unfortunate, but I hope they come back strong next month.
Absolutely. All about that Kalisto engage at the start that was just a fraction of a second from being so different, but absolutely chef's kiss to that man, and congratulations to Unicorns of Love. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we have the next grand final ready to go for Group A.
I'm not liking the way today is going, lads. 2-0 after 2-0. Unicorns of Love are now your winners of the monthly final Group B, and they did it in quite a dominant fashion when it came round to game number 2. I'm going to kick things off, though, Hells. One of the things me and you particularly were quite interested in early on into this game was the item builds coming in from the Orianna. The Seraph's Embrace seems like it's playing not into the early game strength you might be looking for.
It was perhaps the ultimate demise of their team. The Orianna had 0 power in the early game with the Seraph's Embrace. It doesn't give any, like, a lot of ability power. It does give the little shielding for you, but he still died twice in the early game. So they lost the damage from Orianna in the early game, and he couldn't get anything out of it. So he was behind in gold, everything. It just all didn't go well, all because of that one item that the Orianna went for.
See, this is what's wrong with Europe, Hells. I'm gonna scale it back a bit, but this is something
here
we
he comes.
see a lot.
The SEA simp is back online. Let's go. Come on.
Icon Series Defender has logged on. That's my new username. We see this a lot in the Icon series. Is late game, mid game AP spike characters will build Seraph's Embrace first. And I want to first acknowledge that Hells is 100% right. Mathematically, it is a bad item to build as your first item because you don't have any damage during the early game. Except if you are conceiving of the game as a team game, Hells. Because then you can change your dynamic to, okay, well, what is this Orianna adding to the team? And if it is during these first couple of team fights, it is very important the Orianna stay up, not have to stasis, and be able to throw out utility. Then you can make a different argument and say, well, it's more important that she's up and able to throw out a shockwave. It's more important that she's up and able to throw out shielding than have optimal AP. I do agree that you're right, though. It didn't look good in the early game this game.
Early game was a bit weak for the team. One of the things that stood out for Unicorns of Love, on top of that early game advantage, was this Camille pick. We got a nice little clip on the drawing board, TJ, that I'd like you to walk us through here and just show the power of the Hextech ultimatum when it comes to these team fights.
I was really excited. This was a really fun team fight for a couple of reasons. We'll start with all things going well for Trovo Nova. They spent this entire game really struggling to land this exact combo that they land right here. So we start things off with the Shockwave. Again, I talked about how that is the, in a team fight sense, that is the primary utility of an Orianna, is landing the Shockwave. And it doesn't necessarily matter that it does damage. Here, it sucks that it does 0 damage because they've lost this game already. But it's still a really good setup, and you'll see why as we roll through, and Vex hits a really nice little cask. And at this point, teamfight has gone very well. And what we were going to talk about is how Camille can turn teamfights. Because I've been an incredible advocate for a lot of other junglers. I'm not a giant fan of Camille jungle because she has very limited teamfight utility. She's not very good in a team-oriented setting at finding isolated kills in the backlines because coordinated teams can respond to her diving. What she does do, though, that I think is very important and undervalued as a frame of reference for how she works, is she, no matter the result, can take one character permanently out of the team fight. You see here, the Hextech ultimatum lands, and Hydro is done. It doesn't matter if Hydro's stasises, it doesn't matter if Hydro manages to path really well through this Hextech ultimatum, their damage is reduced because of the way Hextech ultimatum works, and they are not going to be able to auto-attack during this team fight. So if you are playing in a team fight as an AD carry into Camille, you have to respect the fact that the Camille has a single button press that, regardless of if she finds the kill, instantly cancels your ability to impact the team fight. And as we go on here, it doesn't help that the rest of the team is miles away, but there's just no way that Hydro is able to add anything at that point.
Hells, I feel like there's an opportunity here to use the stasis to actually survive this. And if you have your cooldowns up, you can do it, right?
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't use the stasis enchant. You can just quite easily block the Camille ultimate, escape with the flash, especially Kai'Sa. It really felt like they were just, the macro gameplay was really not that good from Trovo Nova. They didn't know how to deal with the Camille, as you saw. They didn't know how to deal with the Camille in the early game, and especially they didn't know how to deal with the Camille in the late game. Use the stasis enchant to block the ultimate, go back into your team, save the fight. That's what they had to do, but they just kept getting caught out over and over and over again. Just really beautiful play from Unicorns, but also lack of micro gameplay from Trovo Nova.
Well, let's hear it from the Unicorns. I think I've grabbed Coalstar for a cheeky little interview and have another set of words with him. See how he's feeling after his grand final win. Let's pull him in. Coalstar, are you there?
Hey, Tom. Yeah, I'm there. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Coalstar, congratulations. You won the first ever monthly final. How does it feel?
Cool. Thanks a lot, Tom. That was really a really crazy series and insane. I still a little bit don't believe that this is happening, but this is definitely happening.
All right, okay. I'll slow it down a little bit. I'll take it nice and easy for you. So, you beat Trovo Nova already. You saw their match yesterday. Was there anything you saw in that lower bracket final that informed what you did today?
Well, I think that lower bracket finals was kind of easy for them, and Mortal Shot, they drafted a bit not so good. I think that Trovo Nova outdrafted Mortal Shot pretty hard yesterday, and I think that this is the important thing, that teams like Trovo Nova, like tier 1 teams in Europe, they draft really good, and they can outdraft tier 2 teams. And it's very important for the team that's kind of runner-ups, the teams that want to be tier 1, they have to draft properly. And I think that Trovo Nova didn't show anything special yesterday, so I believe they used Galio yesterday as well as today, so we were prepared for it. We knew that can happen, but we were all good with that. So Trovo Nova didn't show anything so special yesterday, I think.
And I just want to follow up with something with TJ mentioned. TJ obviously is a big advocate for Camille as a pick. I was wondering, as a pro player, if you could describe to the audience why Camille is such a powerful pick in the current meta.
Well, yeah, I heard TJ talk a lot about that. He said Camille doesn't give you much utility in team fights. Yeah, I think he's totally correct in that case, because Camille's job is catch. She has to catch the targets that got off guard. So it's something like that. It's different from Wukong playstyle, for example, who gives a lot of utility in team fights. Camille is a bit different, and the playstyle different from Wukong and Gragas, etc. So I think that Camille is great in current meta because first she's a flex pick, so you can put her in top lane, jungle, even mid lane if you want. There are a lot of flexibility for these champions. So I think that Camille is pretty good right now, in good shape, with a good stats, with a good itemization. So everything seems good for Camille. So I don't see the reason that you don't use Camille in your games.
All right, thank you so much for that one. And obviously we've got this is just the first monthly final. We've got 2 more still to come. I'm assuming you've already signed up for the July qualifiers. What are you going to be working on between now and then to take Unicorns of Love to the next level?
First of all, I have to put on my great hat.
Yes, please
of course.
do. It's essential.
Yes.
It's essential.
Yes, that's essential. And my ears, of course, I have to show everyone that Unicorns are,
obviously
going into July Origin Series too. So I think that we're gonna play tournaments, European tournaments that are coming ahead. We will try our best to get in good shape for the monthly finals in July, because there were. It's always like upsides and downshifts for every team. So it's very important to get in a good shape in the right moment. So it's like right now in these finals, we were in a good shape. We were prepared well for these finals. So I believe, and we will do all our best to be in the same great shape in next month in July.
Okay, Coldstar, I've got a question for you about the next match we're going to see, the grand final of Group A. Now, you're familiar with both of these teams because you play a lot in the European region. Out of Tribe and Team Queso, who do you personally think is going to be walking away with that series?
That's a really good question, Tom. That's a really good question. I believe that Tribe kind of favorites in this matchup, but Team Queso is really strong. It's a really great team, and they start to do big blasts the moment you don't really expect that. So Queso is a really dangerous team that play really careful, but sometimes they do very aggressive moves and they try to speed up the game really quick. So I believe that this is a very close series, but I feel that Tribe have a bit more of a favorites in this series. Like that.
All right, thank you so much, Coldstar.
Thank you so
Congratulations
much.
on the win. I hope to be speaking to you soon.
Wait. Can I tell?
Yes, please do so.
Yes, I want to say thank you to all our fans who are watching, who are cheering for us. All the Unicorns of Love staff who were typing us messages all the time, like "Hooray for Unicorns!" Yeah, and we were doing that. We were doing all the time, and it was really nice to play this series. Of course, thanks Trobonova for such a great experience, for such a great series, because I believe that Trobonova is a very strong team. Even if they didn't show the best performance today, I believe that in July they will come back stronger, and we will face each other again. Thanks to all my players. My players are the best team ever, guys. Love them all. They're really great, and thanks to all my friends and girlfriend and my parents who were watching the game and cheering for us. Thanks, Tom, for the cast, and to all the broadcast of ESL for all these things they did, and thanks Riot, of course, for making this tournament come true. Thanks, Tom.
Right, Coldstar, you're so wholesome. Go get some rest. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, Coldstar. Coldstar seems to think that Tribe Gaming are the favorites in this series for Group A. We are going to have to go to a quick break, but before we do that, we want you to check out who is going to the Group A thoughts of this grand final matchup.
I think we're really happy with how the tournament's gone. Making it all the way to the final, only dropping a single game, is a really good feeling for us. I think our preparation has gone really well in the main event.
They're just like going straight in on this dragon.
Yeah. I think that team is very talented. So does it? I mean, I wouldn't say I'm necessarily, it doesn't seem right to say I'm surprised they made it this far, but beating teams like Gamelord, I think, is a huge win for them.
They're trying to buy time, okay? Snitch has just gone back to base. Leon's coming back in. They are again.
The last series was very close, very competitive. The 2,000-hour dragon fight that we had aged me about 10 years. So
Snitch working and paying dividends in this game, and that's going to be set game. And
I think with this first Origin series, we're proving that Tribe Gaming is on the map, and we're going to be the team to watch going into the rest of the year.
Hello, it's Navaja. I am the manager of Team Queso.
Team Queso go for the push through. They'll secure themselves a spot in the grand final.
We are really happy to be on the grand final. It has been really difficult because there are a lot of teams on Europe. The last match against Tribe Gaming was really hard because they played really aggressive. We will play aggressive, but with the respect of our play style. My team has been working really hard, and they will be the best team in Europe. And I trust on them, and will be awesome. You will see.
Our last grand final of the monthly finals. It's Tribe going up against Team Queso. This one, I think a lot of people have been looking forward to. So I'm not going to stretch this out much longer. Let's look to get straight into the pick and ban. Hells, TJ, you're both currently 0 for 2 on the predictions. Who are you already backed Team Queso here. Please tell me that you're going to prove Coldstar wrong and at least get one victory here in your Preds.
Well, let's hope we will. I mean, honestly, all I'm seeing right now is Andre versus Doom. It just depends on which jungler is playing better, and I hope I'll get this one right. Okay. So I won't be 0-3. It would be quite embarrassing, but yeah.
I at least have an excuse. I'm biased. The Team Queso team, the Trovo Nova team played in previous titles I cast. I hung out with them at LANs. So, you know, I have that excuse of just being a hack who's biased. I don't know what you're doing, Hells. You've got nothing.
So about these bans, I find them very interesting. You can see immediately that Tribe is banning off the Garen, which is very interesting because Leon doesn't play those tanks. And the tank that's the utmost broken tank in the game right now is definitely Garen. You know, Leon can play every single champion in the Baron lane, except for these tanks. He might be able to play it, he just doesn't do it. It doesn't fit his playstyle.
And I know that was something that got discussed kind of in the analytical community because Leon steps away from those tanks. That removes one of the potential strengths of Tribe, occasionally costs them. So I would be very curious to see if that changes. We do get Tribe getting Camille early. I do want to reiterate something that Coldstar talked about earlier. This is a flex pick as well as a power pick. It's good in a lot of roles, and that flexibility outweighs its power in those roles, even if it's a little suboptimal in some of them.
Ooh, Camille pick. And Queso cannot do anything with this pick. They have no idea what's going to happen with the Camille pick. Leon can play it, Doom can play it, anyone can play it. And just a very, very nice setup for Tribe Gaming right now because they're now able to actually counterpick the Fiora and the Lee Sin if they want to.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say here, Hells, is that like they've now shown their hand. You know that you've got the Fiora in the Baron lane, and Camille, well, that can be flexed anywhere, and you could get a favorable matchup here.
Yeah, Fiora is definitely a good answer to the Camille because Fiora can quite easily dodge Camille's ultimate. So that kind of deems Camille's ultimate useless in the lane. So we could be, seeing that Camille on the Baron lane in Leon's hands right now. I am in the jungle. And Leon could be picking another champion in the Baron lane, but we'll see what they're gonna do.
We get a Diana here, which could also be played in a variety of roles. So I'm excited to see that flexibility. Team Queso, it's very standard on their side. I would actually kind of be psyched to see this draft pivot into late game. Play a 1-4. This is something I was talking to Memorized, who is the support player over on Queso, and he was saying that one of the things they were really enjoying right now was a 1-4. Put a lot of the emphasis on Ibu. Give him the hard carry in this Xayah, which does tend to spike in the late game. Leave the Fiora in a side lane to do their own thing. Rely on the Lee Sin to get you to that late game. I think that would work for Team Queso.
I mean, at least I like the Lee Sin pick because Lee Sin is one of the best answers to the Camille, of course, because Lee Sin can just push out the Camille out of her ultimate. And Xin Zhao from Tribe Gaming, they have been picking Xin Zhao in almost every single game. And honestly, I don't feel like it's very, very strong. But Doom is just able to completely demolish with that Xin Zhao pick. And the thing is, they cannot ban it because Doom is just going to pick anything else and still steamroll the enemies.
I like what this implies for the overall Tribe Gaming draft, though. Xin Zhao is a very popular pick in the Icon series. It's very good at contesting the Lee Sin in the early games, one of the few picks that can do so. You get the Diana to play mid, you get the Camille to play top, you have a solid teamfight, you have an answer in the split lane. I think this is going to be a very good game.
All right, well, there you go. We've got the draft set for our grand final of the night. I see a Diana pick, so I know one man is going to be very happy about that. Let's throw it over to Yuko and Desitu to take us through the first game.
You know what? Seeing that Diana pick, I immediately thought that you will be happy with this game. So, prediction so far, since before we jump into the game.
I'm a filthy Diana one trick all the way up to Master. I ain't even gonna lie about it. I'm dead happy to see it getting picked up by Snitch. But Ahri is such a rough lane for the Diana at the best of times. You see Ahri pretty much permabanned away, even when teams don't play it, because she can be that obnoxious. So as excited as I was about the Diana, I'm slightly nervous about the impact that Ruse is gonna have in the mid game.
Actually, yeah, and to actually add on what you said about Ari and Diana. See, this is the power that Ari has in the early game. Diana, towards the early game, she does not have that much burst, but I want to also add on something that the panelists said earlier on. Fiora, against this Camille, they say that Camille is going to be a good pick against Fiora since she can just lock her in. In retrospect, I personally don't like being locked in with my enemy, especially that's going to be Fiora. You also have the weak points. She can dish out so much damage in the early parts of the game. But so far, it is going to be a pretty standard early start for these two teams. And looking now at the Dragon Lane, that is just going to be Saya alongside Braum. Just few love taps here and there, but no one is actually committing into anything just yet.
It's just one of those things in the top lane where it's like, I'm not stuck in here with you. You're stuck in here with me. It's the absolute epitome of that in the top side. You know, back on League PC, we always used to say this was a skill matchup. Both champions incredibly impactful. It depends on how it plays out between the individual players and how capable they are, not just on the individual champion, but also the knowledge of the matchup they're into. And between these two, Leon and Acolyte, you'd expect they've got a whole bucket load of knowledge between the two of them. Absolutely no doubt about that. But look at this here, the Xin going for the invade inside of the red jungle as well as they kind of trade buffs side for side. Lee Sin doing the same on the other side. But he might get caught out here. Doom, got to be really careful.
Ooh, that is going to be a jump in coming in from the side of course, Tribe, but he was able to just go to safety. But again, that is just going to be Saya and Braum being very quiet, being very conservative in the earlier parts. However, Andre, can I just say that this player, this guy on Lee Sin is just a beast. That is going to be a jump in, but let's see if he will actually try to do anything about it. He does not use his flash, but at the very least, he was able to force Diana to go with the recall and go back and get the health that she lost.
Yeah, sometimes it's the small things here. It was dodging away from the charm coming out of Ruiz. If that connected, I can guarantee you, you'd have seen the Ignite coming down. You'd have had Andre on top of, well, he would have been absolutely burnt out and melted in no time at all. But here, actually, because the Xin had that early contest coming through from bot lane, despite the support from the Diana, didn't manage to finish off the blue. So, in fact, it's going to be all three buffs coming across for the Lee Sin here. Might set Doom behind ever so slightly, but with the ults now coming online, both of them should be looking for those big impact ganks.
And I'm still waiting for that to actually happen. Maybe once Decent goes back, he is just going to get a few items in. Maybe we'll be seeing more of that. But going back into the mid lane, that is just going to be the Orb of Deception being thrown out by Ari. Now you have Braum just there at the side. Glacial Fissure is not yet available, but I think he is just going to try and get as much vision as they can. Looking back here, the Baron lane is going to be a certain gang that has ultimately been popped there as well. And you have Xin Zhao with the follow-up, but that is going to be Fiora being able to survey her way out of that skirmish. But now you have Andre. I thought he was actually going to jump in. He does not have the kick and he doesn't have the flash, but he still tried to jump in. Now you have Ari alongside. She does have the charm, but you have the Foxfire being popped, but was not able to steal or even secure a kill. A lot of resources being used by Team Queso right here.
Yeah, I wasn't too sure about that Spirit Rush coming out at the very end. It was one of the ones that you look at and think, are you really going to commit that deep here, not knowing exactly where everyone else is? And unfortunately, that is the ult down in this case. So Snitch, although the flash is still available for the Ari, could be looking for the ult here or some kind of play into the mid lane. And just to touch on this Camille again, we heard Cold in the interview saying, you know, in team fights, not really got a ton of CC or utility, but the catch potential to get the game rolling in the first place is where the Camille really shines. And yes, not as a jungler here, is playing as the top side, so with a bit more gold on side, guarantee she'll still be melting faces come team fight time.
Now Dragon is up and you can already see Tribe having first dibs on this Dragon, but now Andre is still going to be the very scary ghost there at the side, but let's be a jump. Umbrella being popped, let's be the Glacial Fissure being popped there as well, but blue team was able to get that bounty Dragon, and now they want to go all in first, but going over to Diana, that is going to be a double kill. In fact, Saya does get bursted down, and Andre was actually the first one to fall down. No kick, no Feather Storm, and that is going to be Tribe just asserting dominance earlier in this game.
We spoke about Ruiz not having the Spirit Rush online either, was going to be a bit of a kicker for them. He was barely present in that fight, and here comes the isolation again.
Oh no, nice. He has ultimatum being popped, but now you have the Unbreakable from Braum being popped up. Fiora, I thought he was gonna commit, but he realized 1v3, you don't have Grand Challenge, maybe not the best, not the best skirmish rather to actually jump in. But going back to the replay here.
Yeah, absolutely. Take a look over it again here. It's more about the Lee trying to be in the front line to go for a steal. Never really ideal when you're sat with damage items on side. You're not a tank. You're not going to be able to sustain too much damage. And he got melted down with the second kill coming through a couple of seconds later. Good start by Tribe, because with Leon playing on this Camille, keep on speaking about it. That catch potential earlier on is basically to guarantee you a first couple of kills. It is starting to rack up. The one that's the second to go denied away because of the Braum and the Fiora's ability in preventing both damage and CC coming through, but still a small advantage being built here with about a 1k gold lead currently sitting with Tribe.
You mentioned about the goal lead, and now one of the ways to actually close or at least lessen that goal lead is getting towers. And Riphill is going to be up in 8 more seconds, but that is going to be a jump in. Beautiful moonfall coming in from this Diana, but Ari was able to use her ultimate to try and get away, but nope, that is still going to be the kill being secured by Snitch. I actually saw a handful of comments saying that this guy on Diana is a beast, so looks like he really was able to deliver. Looking now at the Dragon Lane, that's going to be a 1v1. Camille versus Fiora, but Fiora was able to jump away, and now you have Doom just focusing on this Rift Herald. We also have Janna there at the side. Moonsoon is available. That is going to be Andre jumping in, kicking Diana right there. The Unbreakable is going to connect by Blue Team, was able to get the Rift Herald, and now you have Saya able to pop all those feathers, and the roots are going to connect, but there was no sufficient follow-up, and now Xin Zhao just there at the front line. No one actually fully committed on that fight. I guess Tribe, they just want to focus on getting the Rift Herald.
That's why I love Diana, that bruiser nature in the mid game with the shield, just keeping you top to potentially being able to dash around a little bit. Thought for a second he was absolutely screwed, but Clue was just over the wall, popped the ult out to heal him over the top of that to make sure he didn't go down. We get a nice replay here. A lot of pros always short charge the ultimate as well. It's just not worth giving the enemy lane a time to go for a full recharge and then dash away, flash away, whatever. Use it for the small slow, get them a little bit closer, and then go for the burn off the back of it. This is a really scary time because Snitch is starting to scale quite nicely here. He's 3-0, nearly 2k gold in the lead. Normally prefer seeing something like a Death Cap coming out as a second item, but by the looks of it here, he's favoring a little bit of move speed with the Mert Treads on side. Also got himself towards the Aether Wisp, but no doubt thinking about trying to go on the Ahri again. Look how scary he is. He's flashing away and everything.
Yup, really committing a lot of resources just to make sure that they will not be able to reach it, but CBD Grisha Fisher being popular as well, and Andre was able to finish off that kill. On top of that, they were able to get the first Baron lane turret. That is going to be the first turret being secured by Team Queso, and now Rift Herald has been summoned at the mid lane. Braum is going to go with the recall, Saya going back as well. Rift Herald already down, but at the very least, they were able to get a significant amount of damage onto this mid lane turret.
And you can see how the lack of a tank on Tribe is being offset here by the Gargoyle just being picked up by Leon in the top lane. So he knows that he's going deep, and he knows that once he's unloaded his first combo, ulting someone, W layered on top, having the Q off the back of it to the second charge especially, doing quite a hefty chunk of damage, you can pop that Gargoyle, get the 110% bonus health boost for 4 seconds. Yes, you do 60% less damage, but at that point, with your abilities on cooldown, you're not going to be too worried. You just want to be the front laner. A little bit of a replay on the top side there as well. Makes no surprise to me when you see a play being made elsewhere for mid tower that you make a play elsewhere on the map. The two teams exchanging blows, and here comes the engage.
Hexic ultimates are being propped right there, and now you have the other members of Tribe going in with the follow-up, and that's CBD Ahri being the first one to actually get bursted down. No charms for you, good sir. 20 seconds of no control mages after getting that kill. Tribe, they are now very comfortable and very confident to actually get this dragon, and looks like Team Queso will not be able to go with the contest. Instead, looking at the Baron lane, you have Fiora is just gonna commit onto that split push. Will be able to clear up the wave. You also have Andre just there at the neutral jungle side for Tribe. They could try and get this. Ultimates are available, but here comes Janna able to go with the shield, and now you have Doom and ICB jump in, and will the damage be enough to be low because Andre was able to kick his way out of there. Saya decides to join the party, but she is gonna try and be very careful about his moves and being popped there as well, and now you have that first kill going over to Tribe. Andre the first one to actually fall down. You have the Wingers by connecting, but look at this Zhao being very scared. Let's be a knockup, let's see a double kill be going over to the side of the blue side, and that is a 3-0 in favor of Tribe.
Oh god, Doom's just going for it. Look at him, straight in as well. The dash away should be able to get melted down here. Wind becomes lightning coming out as well, but everyone piling in. Surely their closest one out. The riposte, not enough. There's a rampage picked up by the Diana. Going to back away from this. I don't want to hear anyone talking bad about Doom's in Zhao after this. The man is an absolute monster, chasing them down no matter how much they try and run away.
He was so confident, and even though he was quite alone in the first part of that gang or that scrimmage, it's okay. He knew he can last that long, and that is going to be a jump in under turret. Snitch with the plays. Man, your Diana pick, man, looking very good in this game. However, Saya was still able to survive that, given that she has pretty good wave clear.
It's less so that I think the Snitch ran out of mana, realized he didn't have enough for the full combo to carry on. I think he had the second charge of the E to go back in if he wanted to again, but was like, well, I'm out of mana. I've got nothing left. Need to back away here. So the right call to not go super deep and just try and finish the Xayah off with autos, especially knowing that she has the flash online, wouldn't have been too well for the Diana. So good conservative play between him and the jungle plays right now, along with the lockdown potential of Leon. It's looking phenomenal for Tribe.
Tactical sweep has been popped by Camille, but Andre, I think they wanted to at least get that pick off, but they said it could be too scary, could be too risky, but you have that very good sticker being used by Camille earlier on, and now you have Doom still rotating. He does have the ultimate available, but looks like they're just going to focus on getting this buff. Team Queso on towards the upper part of the map, and looks like Tribe, they will slowly try and limit the world that Team Queso can just move around. You have the waves pushing in. Looking at the Baron lane, you have Ahri, you have Lee Sin right there. They will most likely try and maybe get Baron, but it looks like that is going to be the Void Seeker connecting. Wow, the damage you have there, Caitlyn Rain, it did hurt a lot. Kai'Sa does jump in, but he was able to force the Feather Storm out of his eye. But now looking at the Dragon lane, oh no! That is going to be another kill being secured by Snitch. And you have Andre. Hi, yes, hello. Diana does not have her ultimate, but looks like Snitch is still going to go with that chase. Now looking at the Dragon lane, it is going to be a 3v3. Should they try and force this out? But looks like they don't want to. It's going to connect, but still try. But they just have their eyes on this Baron.
And the constant pushing inside of the red jungle here, just making sure they're constantly sweating, unable to sit pretty, to sit comfortable, always having the wards down inside the enemy jungle. You can see the 2, if not 3, currently spaced throughout the Team Queso jungle right here. For Tribe, it's the pressure. It's the same as UOL against Trovanova earlier on, just making sure there's no room really to breathe or make anything happen. And Snitch at this point, hard gap in the mid lane. Ruiz is what? 4,000 gold behind, still waiting to finish off his second item. Diana has just finished that death cap. Bear in mind, she was doing all this damage with just the Roa and the Lich Bane. Now that death cap's online as well, she is going to absolutely decimate people in the next team fight.
She is going to be a huge problem into the game indeed. Kai'Sa left alone at the mid lane, though. Again, no one's still going to where the Baron is. Mercury Stacy is already being picked up by Diana as well. Now you have Xayah. I think that is going to be Camille trying to chase down Andre. That is going to be the passive proccing. You also have the tactical sweep. The slows are going to connect, but Andre, he knows he shouldn't try and force with that fight. Infernal Drake is already up, but now you have Fiora. What good timing coming in from Camille. Hexacle to being popped there as well, and now you have Fiora locked in, cannot move away from her death. That's going to be the first to be secured, and here comes Camille. Hookshot connecting onto the tactical sweep. You have the Gisha being popped by Braum as well, but now Tribe just going all in. You have the Feathers, but will it be enough? The answer is going to be no. You also have Molten being popped by Janna at the back line. Ahri does fall down, and that is going to be a 2-0 in favor of Tribe. They are now pretty much ready to either take Dragon or Baron. Maybe even a turret if they want to.
There's a beautiful tactical sweep coming across as well, connecting the slow on to pretty much all members of Team Queso, and you saw the chaos erupt off the back of it. But for Tribe, leaving no one left alive in these fights, the Camille almost being caught out here, but still managing to get away while the rest of the team did the Dragon. Now they can start thinking about Baron, but I imagine you want to go back and spend a bit of the gold that you've been racking up here. They're at an 8,000 gold lead, and a lot of the players haven't necessarily gone back just for a while. Diana's just been back again. Don't think she'll have bought a new item yet. She just got the Zhonya's online. Just a bit of a repeat here so you can see exactly how this one played out. The patience of a saint from Leon, by the way. It would be so easy to panic here and just press the E as soon as you see the Fiora nearby. But he waits for the riposte to run out, goes in for the stun, Hex Tech on top, and with the combo from the Diana, it's all too easy to finish off the one man, and that's when you force the number advantage.
And looking back in this follow-up fight, it was just Team Queso just dancing to the music of Tribe, and that last kill before they went on full back from the Ahri was good as well. Dominating. We are just back from briefly, but look like you also have this double kill being secured by this Diana. Godlike going over to Snitch. 1-2 champions already down, and looks like they're looking into getting the Baron. Be very worried though. Andre is still there. The jungler is still up. You also have Fiora. You also have Ahri that can jump in anytime. But Camille did see through this. You have the passive being procced yet again. The sweep. The souls are going to connect. But looks like that is just going to be Camille doing Camille things. And the Baron has been taken by Janna. Last hit by Janna.
Why not? Why not? Yeah, the Camille there, the solo holding everyone back as well as they were closing that one out. Kaizo knew there was no way they were stepping through it when they were down into a 3 versus 5. There's another item coming through here. The Void being picked up by Snitch. He keeps on stepping further ahead, but here's another replay again of the top fight as it broke down. Even with the Gargoyle, the Brawn can do nothing but try to run away and get absolutely melted by the opposing side. If Tribe don't manage to close this game out in the next few minutes, I'll be absolutely shocked.
That is true, considering the fact that they have so much lead right now. But now you have Xin Zhao, you have Jan as well, just holding their ground at the mid lane. You also have members of Team Queso, but looks like they just want to focus on clearing out the way. Fiora, still pretty alone at the Baron lane, will be up against Camille. She actually has teleport, should they want to go somewhere else or go with the response. But now you have Snitch alone at the Dragon lane. Still, that is going to be the Unbreakable Beam pop. That is going to be a jump in. No, wait, no, anything. And look at the damage indeed. It's just too much for them to bear. Killing Spree coming over to the side of Tribe yet again, and now they're just in the base. They're dancing around. That is going to be a focus
Beautiful.
on Fiora, but Fiora will be able to get away. That's going to be the Moonstone Beam pop by Jan as well. The charm will not connect, and looks like Tribe is still going to focus on that Nexus, and they're able to get that first game win.
So clean and clinical. Desire not even able to pop the Featherstorm at the end of it as well, because the knockup came from the Xin. Diana came over the wall. Her health bar gone like that. In a snap, it disappeared. Beautiful game all around from Tribe. Really can't commend them enough for that. A lot of the work being done by the Diana, sure, but all of that was built off the pressure I felt being made by the Camille and by Doom in the jungle. Huge game for those three especially, but the whole team really making it a big effort here.
That's true, and we have been seeing a lot of plays from Diana, but overall, it was also the Baron laner and the jungler. They made things work. On top of that, you have Janna just safe at the backlines, but that has been game number 1. We're gonna hop into a very short break, and when we come back, we'll be seeing the panelists so they can break down that game for us.
Welcome back to the Origin series. We already have Tribe Gaming in the lead in our final grand final of the evening, and it just seemed like Tribe had a dominant control of that game. The macro was on point for them. I don't think they ever lost control. Hells, I'm just wondering if you could just dive a little bit deeper into how Tribe were able to get hold of the game early and then extend their lead.
Tribe Gaming, just amazing. They always knew what to do. Even if Team Queso made an amazing macro call, like in the early game, they were able to get lane priority. In every lane, they knew where Doom was in the jungle because the Ahri got vision on him. So they were preparing for that fight in the top side of the map, right? But what did Doom do? He went to the bot side. He took the scuttle, played it safe, went back, you know. Oh, they did lose some jungle because he lost his blue buff, but it's okay. Like, he could have actually lost way more, but it's just, they always knew what to do, which was really amazing to see from Tribe Gaming.
But hey, Team Queso, they also could pull out some macro here, but like, ultimately Tribe were just in the lead. We got a clip here for the drawing board. I want you to run this through for us, Hells. It's a bit of a long one, so strap in, but you're going to be coming out the other side of it for the better.
Yeah, so I took this clip out because here actually Team Queso made a really good call. And the clip actually should have started a little earlier, which is Tribe Gaming used the Rift Herald here in the mid lane. Let's take a look here. And Team Queso chose to gank Leon over here. And they took the turret, and now they're pushing even further. So this was actually an excellent move because they got the best out of it. But here, what are they doing? They're overextending. They should have taken the turret and backed off. But there is another thing that you need to pay attention to. Tribe Gaming, look at these guys over here. So it's true that Team Queso answered Tribe Gaming with the push, but then Team Tribe Gaming again answered with the other push on the other side of the map. They got a kill on the bot side, or they're pushing the bot side of the map. The Ahri is going to try to defend, but if we just roll this clip, we can see what's going to happen. So Tribe Gaming, because they want to waste these guys' time, they do get collapsed on, but they are okay. So I want to pause the clip yet again here. And even though this fight is very interesting and all, let's take a look at this, guys. 2 versus 1 against the Ahri. What are they going to do? They're going to get a kill on the Ahri. They're going to push yet another turret, further extending their lead. So Team Queso did a good answer to the Rift Herald, which got the mid lane over here. But guys, 2 turrets. This is what I'm saying. Team Queso is playing well, and but Tribe Gaming is just playing better macro-wise.
And I wanted to point out something from that highlight as well. Thank you so much for bringing that through. But TJ, excuse my terrible pun, but I think people need to be clued up on the Janna pick that's coming for Tribe Gaming. So could you talk us through what the Janna is actually bringing to that team? And you saw a good example of it. It reset the fight and actually extended it longer for that macro play to come in. But what is the Janna really doing in this team composition?
Yeah, she's really good at changing which way the winds are blowing in the middle of a team fight. Once one team spends all of their aggressive abilities, usually that's the end of a team fight. And this goes oftentimes very wrong. I use the phrase cycle to indicate most characters in League of Legends Wild Rift have, I'm going to blow these 3 abilities and then I can't really do anything. And what you'll see oftentimes is that is the length of a team fight. Both teams go in, one team spends their cycle, and then they're going to get punished. What Janna does that's incredibly powerful, one of the reasons she's picked ban in the Icon series and very popular here in European Wild Rift as well, is you throw out that Monsoon, and for the duration, it doesn't matter where your players' cycles are, because they're going to get healed up a bit, but more importantly, the fight breaks. The fight is momentarily paused. And so all of your players who have just spent, for instance, their dashes, their CC engage abilities, have a moment for those abilities to come back online, and then they can re-engage. Oftentimes this works especially well with very aggressive teams. I know Janna feels like a defensive character, but you can use it very aggressively, where your team will look for an engage, maybe not be able to find it, maybe able to find a pick onto one player, and then that is normally the time where your chase has to end, but instead you can reset with the Janna ultimate and keep chasing.
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the Janna because we're going to pivot the conversation a little bit. But for now, let's close up game number 1 and move into game number 2. Match point for Tribe Gaming, and without further ado, we're going to jump into pick and ban as fast as we can. While we're doing that, TJ, one player you wanted to have a quick conversation about was Ruiz on the side of Team Queso, something to highlight about what they were doing in the past game.
Yeah, and I always worry about this because I don't ever want to be someone who's being mean to players. And I think Ruiz has been a long-time veteran of mobile esports in Europe. That's why I feel comfortable doing this. They made some pretty bad errors towards the second half of that game. They started very strong, got some good vision for their team. As that game went on, Ruiz was off cycle. I just talked about ability cycles. The second Dragonflight of the game, Ruiz spends their ability cycle before the fight begins and can't contribute when Memorized ults in. Then third Dragonflight of the game, Memorized dies in the mid lane, not using their abilities to dash out. Some mistakes that are out of character for Ruiz. And that's why I highlight it, because I know he's a very good player, and I want to see that turn around in this second game.
Man, they should be banning Camille. They should be banning or picking Camille. Like, if you give Camille again to Tribe, especially Leon, man, his performance last game on that Camille, whew. But see, the problem is, if he doesn't get Camille, he's gonna get Lee Sin. If he doesn't get Lee Sin, he's gonna get Gragas. If he does, you know, it just keeps going. All these players know how to play everything. So you can see that Tribe Gaming is just banning these powerhouse picks. And yeah, they pick the Camille to deny that Camille. But let's talk about the bans, which is Garen and Ziggs from Tribe Gaming. So Leon doesn't play Garen. He hates Garen. He doesn't play tanks. And Ziggs, it's true that Snitch plays Ziggs, but they do not have the first pick in this draft. So, you know, to minimize the chance of losing the game, they just banned out the Ziggs, because Ziggs is actually like the best pick in the whole game right now in a team composition.
I'm excited to see the early presence of a Kai'Sa encounter. You know, I argue that Camille is very good in drafts because of her flex potential. I worry that Team Queso are going to throw this into the jungle. I would be far more interested to see this Camille up towards the top side, because I think a jungle here needs to be Lee Sin to counter this Kai'Sa, and we get it. I feel good. This needs to be a Lee Sin to counter the Kai'Sa's early game potential. If you don't have something like a Lee Sin here, you just get knocked out during the first 5 minutes.
I mean, they picked a very early Galio here. I'm a fan of Galio, true, but isn't it a bit too early to pick Galio, who is a counter to these ability power assassins or melee champions? The Team Queso can just choose to pick ranged champions against it and attack damage champions, and Galio, he's gonna be useful, but
I suspect this is support Galio because, as you say, it's picked so early, and it could be flex. That's one of the things that we talk about. But if this is support Galio, it makes a lot of sense because you can play with the Kai'Sa, and it might bait an awkward mid laner out of Team Queso. And of course, you can flex it to that mid lane if it makes sense.
Yeah, it can get flexed into the support.
That up, though?
Ooh. Pantheon. We haven't seen a lot of Pantheon in EU. We saw it getting banned in other regions, but we haven't seen it too much in EU. Pantheon is really good at catching out these targets, really good at catching out that Camille, even though she has that hook shot. It's just maybe a bit questionable still, because as I said, she does have the hook shot. Gragas has his ultimate to push the enemies out. Xayah, I don't like the Pantheon pick a lot because the enemies still can escape. Also Lee Sin with his ultimate, but we're gonna have to see what Tribe Gaming is gonna do with that.
We also spoke about how powerful the Rakan pick has been for Team Queso. They've now got the Xayah Rakan bot lane here, TK.
Yes.
Yeah, I like Xayah Rakan. This is going to be Gragas mid because of the Rakan, and you're okay playing a Galio into that. So we get Galio mid, regardless of whether or not they wanted to throw that support. We'll never know. And you can get Braum Kai'Sa into Xayah Rakan, and I really actually like that matchup for Tribe. Overall, I think they've come out ahead in the draft. Team Queso feel a little bit split during the early game. If they last till mid, late game team fights, I think they can turn it around now.
All right, then that's the draft completed. Without further ado, let's throw it over to Yuko and Dez to see what this match point could deliver.
Tribe already up with 1 game, so let's see how will they be able to maybe win this with a 2-0, or will the draft for Team Queso be the key that they need to actually push this to a game number 3? So the panelists talked about the Xayah and Rakan pick. What are your thoughts about this very strong Dragon Lane duo?
They get ever so slightly enhanced by being together, to be fair. My concern with the Xayah is it's more the safety pick, right? You're going to see the Kai'Sa scaling away. Oh, the early level 1 already kicking off.
Yep, that is going to be 2 champion ton. Of course, it's courtesy of this guy. That is going to be a lot of kills being secured by the side of Tribe this early on. So that is going to be an oomph, a huge ouch for the side of Team Queso. They did just lose their possible early game snowball. But now after that very small skirmish, they will just go back to the standard laning.
I mean, look at how it played out, right? The taunt, the stun, the knockout, the Braum Winter's bite. There's just so much level 1 death that comes running at you. And it's funny because we talk about teams doing this all the time. It was Nova yesterday, did exactly the same thing. You got a bunch of CC at level 1, especially a Braum. You land a Winter's Bite, the person you're catching is dead. There is no 2 ways about it. And the same thing happens there, essentially. 2 early kills, absolute disastrous start coming out for Queso, but I'm hoping they can pull back into it because one little fun stat line for you. We've had 5 maps so far across the 3 finals. Camille has been picked in 4 of them. She has won every single game that she has been picked in. The pick potential of a Camille is absolutely phenomenal. I want to see personally if Tribe can break that in this game.
On top of that, she has a very good win rate. So maybe Tribe does have something in their pockets for this. I mean, if you're going to look at the draft, whenever Camille could jump in, maybe she could just get taunted by this Galio, or maybe they could commit the Glacial Fissure from Braum right here. But now that is going to be Andre still with his signature Lee Sin, gonna try and get this Scuttler non-contested. Looking at the Baron though, you have Camille, you still have this Pantheon, but Pantheon being able to land all those stuns perfectly. You have a tactical sweet big pop right there, but now there's going to be a dash in. Will they be able to get the skill? The answer is going to be a yes, because that's going to be 1 Galio mid laner down, courtesy of Andre.
Yeah, Snitch being caught up there a little bit too far away from his starting mark. I think so much so that he's running back towards the wrong tower. The one thing I am excited about for Tribe, to be fair, is the fact that they've got these globals on side where you've got the Pantheon and the Galio together. Assuming they're in range, you can suddenly turn a 2 versus 4 into a 4 versus 4, or even better yet, a 2 versus 2 into a 4 versus 2 for yourself. So keep a close eye on those 2. They're the ones, as the ults come, what's going to make a big difference. Andre getting caught out here, might find himself burnt down, forced to flash, and should be able to escape.
Will he though? Because that is going to be a Kai'Sa that's going to chase him down, and that is going to be the re-engage coming from the side of Tribe. That is going to be the roots connecting. That's going to be a beautiful grand entrance courtesy of the Zircon, but Braum was actually the first one to actually get taken down. Double kill coming over for this Gragas. He really hurts a lot. That is going to be a dash out from Galio, but will Gragas commit? That is going to be a no. But so far, Team Queso, they have a pretty good start. We have only a 200 gold lead though, Now you have Doom at the sides. Acolyte has no idea that there is a Shinja, but with
Yes, he
the whole
does.
shot connecting, he does have the ward that is gonna be the his ultimate popular as well. He cannot move around. That's gonna be a flash in, of course, a jump in
No
for
way.
Pantheon. He was able to get a kill, and now Camille gonna try and secure the skill. That's gonna be the hero's entrance, but it was a tad bit too late.
I was going to say it wasn't available on their fight on the bottom side there. He was still level 4, but here at level 5 they make it happen. Can they pile in with all of them low enough? They can still burn through him, even with the Rakan arriving too. Acolyte gets himself shut down. It's one of those horribly frustrating moments where you can see 2, 3 low health champions on the other team. You think, man, a couple of autos, they're dead. That's a double kill for me. So horrible to be constantly CC chain like that and able to get anything off it. But still, that goal difference staying at about 1.5k. You're not going to be losing any sleep at this point. I think if you tried, you still got the lead. But Kaizo keeping themselves right in the game.
16 seconds before the first dragon is going to be up. You have Saya. No Rakan just yet, but he is making his way down to this lane. Kai'Sa and Braum just constantly being able to pressure that lane.
Absolutely. Well, starting things up again, top start. I mean, the replay saw on the catch again, just to kind of give you an idea of how this one looked. For Doom, I thought, man, surely they chase him down and kill him here. And for Pantheon, I was like, beautiful. Bringing out the E, of course, blocks all damage from one direction. It ends with a nice flourish that does extra damage. And this is the moment where I thought for Acolyte, is like, man, I could definitely get something out of this. But no, taunted up, get the long range damage coming in from the Zim with the final charge coming out, completely melts through him. Really well balanced by the side of Tribe, and in comes the gauge from Memorized.
Grand entrance will connect, but now at the mid lane though, 1v3, Camille says goodbye, was not able to respond even at the Dragon lane. That is just a very good pickup and a good vision play for the side of Tribe. And now Gragas is just left to clear the waves, just a sponge being popped by Galio right there. Drake is alive, but no one is going there just yet. Akron can jump in with one good grand entrance, but you have the Unbreakable being used by Braum now. You have Doom there, just looking for his next target, but we also have Gragas ready to be a dash in, and is going to be, will the taunt gonna dash? The answer is going to be no, but Killing Spree coming over for the side of a Tribe. That is going to be a lot of lock-ins, double kill being secured by Shinja right here. Rampage, in fact, and they are just going to go all in. Pantheon being able to secure that kill onto Lee Sin. No kicks, no jungler, 3-0 in favor of Tribe, and on top of that, they can get this dragon.
You've been talking about the grand entrances being landing for Memorize. That was one of the best that he will land in this entire series, but ultimately completely impactless. Tribe, not so much miles and far ahead here, but they're doing enough damage when they catch on to someone that they can't even respond. Ruiz completely caught out with the taunt coming in from the Galio, piled on by Doom. And again, I'll say what I said in the last game. For those that are looking at the Xin and saying, bit of a strange pick, not really that strong. Doom is showing exactly why it can be so powerful. Just making sure that he's getting involved in the front line, protecting his team with the ultimate coming out after. And we spoke again about that grand entrance. Even when it comes out, there is just so much response coming back from Tribe. They aren't backing away. They aren't being scared. Look at it. Even Friend on the AD carry, basically, completely untouched.
Pantheon popping that ultimate. You have the kites coming in for this Kai'Sa. That is going to be one dead Saya. ADC already down, and that just gives Tribe the go signal, the green light to take this Rift Herald. Hi, hello, says Kai'Sa for this Rakan, and that is going to be one fried chicken at the Baron lane, and still a non-contested Rift Herald that is going to be up, and maybe they can summon this in the mid lane or Dragon lane in the latter part of the matches. But while there was auto skirmish there at the top part, you have Camille coming in with the split push. But Tribe, they really want to go with the trade. That's going to be the explosive cast being popped by Gragas, just to make sure that no one will be able to come near this mid lane turret.
Absolutely, another scrap going off there as well. The Camille being the one in the back line trying to go onto the Panther. Sure enough, they will find one, but it gets traded back.
Nice
in
try.
comes the grand entrance once again. Doom having to back away, popping the Gargoyle and Jam, but in comes the Kai'Sa. Friend untouched off to the side, can melt through one, can maybe find a second, makes it a double, but now they've got to face off against reinforcements. Friend being burned through here by Ibu and Ruiz. Can't find anything back onto it, and Doom, he may have stayed around a little bit too long and overstayed his own welcome. The duo on the side of Kai'Sa have done a lot of work here to get this fight back on side, but Doom should be able to walk away in one piece.
Flash in, but he does not have the explosive cast. That is going to be a pretty late hero's entrance, but at least Galio was able to make sure his teammate is safe. Now Liandry is available for Gragas. This is the 7-minute mark, 7 and 14 on the scoreboard right now, with Tribe having a roughly 3k gold lead. So we could see that this Tribe, this team Kai'Sa rather, they have very strong initiate with the Rakan charm. Problem is, Kai'Sa, whenever she jumps in with the cleanup, most of the time, Team Kai'Sa already exhausted their resources.
It's what makes me nervous. And for some junglers, like I completely get what Doom's done here, and everyone does it at some point. But that kind of standing on the edge of a team fight where it's like, do I go in? Do I not? Do I go in? Do I not? And you're kind of hanging around waiting to see what the outcome is to know whether it's safe to go back in or not. He was lucky to get away alive because that could have been a big collapse coming back from Ruiz. We had the flash up, just couldn't quite get a body slam in place to lock him down to enable Ibu to get the next and closing kill. Now, the Gragas is looking pretty big, about 1,000 gold the lead here. One of the richest players in the game outside of the Xin Zhao, who's 4, 0, and 7. Curious to see what Doom's building into, actually. I think it'll be the Sterix as his next item. And why wouldn't you? He can keep on bullying here and just step in and take whatever the hell he wants.
So I does see that you have 3 champions right there. Red team already summoned the Rift Herald here at... Oh, that is going to be the Void Seeker connecting. You also have the Meteor's Bite connect. That's going to be the Glacial Fissure popping and connecting onto 3. But that's going to be the killer is being popped by Kai'Sa just in the back line. But you have so much sustain coming in from Team Queso. But look at the right side. You actually have that beautiful turret dive ensemble coming over for the Xin Zhao. You still have the Rift Herald up, and that is going to be a beautiful cleanup. Flash in. Proto thought not going to connect, but Gragas alongside Drakon forced to just say goodbye and leave their teammates to die. That is going to be a 3-2 in favor of Tribe.
Yeah, 3 for 2 is looking okay, given the fact that you've also got the Rift Herald down, took the bottom tower. Again, Doom is just massive at the front of these fights, frontlining on the Xin Zhao, making himself known at every single turn. And it was starting out as what looked like a guaranteed dive to come through, essentially. But you can see Andre slipping off to the left, comes back in, I believe, gets himself taken down a little bit later on. But he dodged away from the Braum ultimate. And I thought at that moment, man, they could easily turn this one around. But sadly, the globals will start piling in. You know exactly how the rest of the story goes when a team is ahead. Tribe make it look easy.
That is going to be a hook shot in, and still Tribe holding their ground at the mid lane. Dragon is up. Xin Zhao says, hey, let's try and get this objective. This is going to be an Ocean Drake, will help a lot. But now you have, okay, usually we'd see Andre being aggressive, going with the pickoffs, but now he is just in charge of split push duty. And Red Team was able to get that Drake non-contested. Camille, she still does have the Hexic ultimatum, can try and isolate someone, anyone from Tribe, but this mid lane push. She also have the Gishifir. It is going to connect onto 9, but that is going to be a beautiful knockout connecting onto the Charm, but that is going to be the Hex ultimatum popped there as well. And now you have the explosive cast being popped. Braum gets popped like a pimple, and he does get deleted into the map. The Baron, rather, is still up. Tribe, they decided to not force anything given that their support, their one beefy frontliner, is already down.
Yeah, Hero's entrance was more of kind of the mark. Okay, it's time to disengage now, boys. In fact, there might be a re-engage on the go. Doom coming in, finding one. The kick away only lands onto Leon. But with one being found back the other way, it suddenly doesn't look so bad, given it was only the Braum that got caught out in the first engage. So 1 for 1, not looking too bad. And you've got the long respawn time on the Xayah.
Also, the trade was ADC to support. So Tribe will gladly take that trade any time of this game. Baron again, still up, but looks like no one is going to where that is just yet. Tribe, they have the objective lead as well as the gold lead.
It was so good here with the multi-engage, by the way, with the Rakan coming in. Again, we keep on speaking about those grand entrances. I'll give it to Memorized. The team may be struggling, but he is landing some excellent knockups, and that one there was the one that really got the fight moving. You saw it comboed up before, with Ruiz landing a big one in return with his ultimate, the explosive cast coming through, distributing the team to the high winds and doing so much damage at the same time. But you need to see more of those combos coming out here for Team Queso. Keep on fighting your way back in. Don't bleed members outside of fights like they did to lose the 1 for 1 to, saw Ibu going down off the back of it. Otherwise, Tribe will just keep on accelerating. The one thing I am slightly mindful of is that the Pantheon is not going to scale probably as well as the Camille will. She will be an absolute terror come the late game, like she already is at this point in the game, I think. Find her in a 1 versus 1, she'll burn through a couple of members on the enemy team.
I guess that's the reason why Tribe would force these fights. They just know that they will have a hard time towards the late game and that their damage will just fall off eventually. But now, you actually have the Camille popping in with the hook shot, but that's a beautiful stun being landed by Leon, and now you are forced to jump away from your Let's CB. That's ultimately pop there as well. She does get taunted, but looks like that is going to be enough for them to get that kill. Now, you have Kai'Sa clearing out the wave at the mid lane. That's going to be the Pantheon ultimate being popped, but no follow-up damage, no minion wave, so they could most likely go to where the Baron is. They can try and pick one more fight. They did get one, and now they're gonna go all in. Ultimate being popped. Legendary coming over for Xin Zhao. Xayah was the first one to actually get taken down. Lee Sin rather does get bursted down as well. That is gonna be a 2-0 in favor of Tribe, and now they are in a very much more comfortable place to take this Baron. Personally, I think Team Queso should contest, but looks like they won't.
It looks exactly the same in the last game as well. Xayah dying with the ultimate up again, not able to pop it to get away. But that was kind of the secondary objective in that team fight. The primary one was bring down the Lee Sin, remove that 50-50 coin flip on the Baron, make sure he's removed from the fight, and you go from there. Another little replay here, by the way. I think they thought, while they're going towards Baron here, we need to be in a spot to try and contest. But that ward over the wall, I think, gives them all the information they need. The catch onto the Rakan, he has to use all of his abilities just to escape rather than aggressively. And from there, Xayah gets completely melted in the middle of every member of the team. We already saw at level 1 how much damage the CC can do. This late in the game, now that they've got items stacking on top of it, it's absolutely terrifying. Look at the Xin again, 9, 0, and 9. That is arguably the only, and I didn't want to say a weakness because Doom is doing a great job, but the fact that those kills aren't on, say, the Pantheon or on the AD carry here, the ones who are really building full damage, they're the ones that it should ideally be on, but you're definitely not going to complain when your front line is this big. And here he goes again.
That is the grand entrance connecting. You also have, oof, that hurts a lot. Braum was able to get that kill, and now Tribe, they are going to go all in. That's the explosive cast being popped as well. You also have the ultimate coming in from Pantheon and Team Queso. They had no choice but to just fall back to let this tower get taken down, and looks like Tribe, they're still going to go all in. They would want to put a hole onto the base of their opponents. The stuns coming in from Leon, and the follow-up damage is going to hurt Team Queso a lot as well. So it looks like they're just forced to clear up the wave, but you now have that very confident Shinja on the front line. That is going to be a jump in from Galio, but there is no follow-up. At the very least, they were able to get Xayah, they were able to get the Mountain Dragon, and they were able to put the hole onto the base.
It's the constant aggression. Like, they're absolutely relentless in this game against them, Yuko. Queso can't breathe. Every time they try and step out of the lane, there is someone waiting around the corner, normally Doom, to try and catch them out, and other members pile in. We spoke about the globals. They can have 3 or 4 players on one side of the map in a matter of seconds. It's absolutely terrifying to deal with. And for Queso, you think you might have a chance of catching someone out or getting a bit of a push on the go, and then suddenly there's 3 or 4 people. You'll see it in this fight here as they get this nice little engage off straight away onto Andres, forced to burn the Hextech ultimatum, does escape temporarily, but Doom says, I don't care about no tower. I'm tanky as hell. Look at me. I've got the GA. I'm going to charge all the way through. We'll find a couple of kills and then bring down towers on the backside of it. Beautiful.
Beautiful indeed. And these were the last few moments of that skirmish that Tribe was able to pick. I guess the hero's entrance was a tad bit too late, but now, see, it's just them just jumping in and keeping at it with this fight. And now Shinja is really not there. That's why they would most likely force this fight now. But that is going to be a try and jump in and dash into Galio. Taunt bullet connecting is becoming over for this champion. And that's going to be a double kill. In fact, Pantheon popping in with the ultimate just to make sure that Rakan is nowhere near the fight. You also have the cute sticker. Tactical sweep being popped by Camille. They have no other choice. Ikeathan Rain is enough to clear the waves as well. Void Seeker is not going to connect, but looks like that is going to be just Leon at the front line. He has stuns. That's why Team Queso will not try and pick him off a Tribe. They are now at the base. They want to focus on the Nexus, and looks like they would want to bag this game number 2.
Really, really comfortable victory for Tribe. They have breezed their way through much of this tournament, and this day has not changed at all. That was arguably, for me, one of their most convincing performances as well. Against Queso, let's not forget, yesterday, it was a 2-1. Not yesterday, sorry, day before, it was a 2-1. It was pretty close. I thought Queso might bring something else today, but they woke up a different team today. Phenomenal stuff coming out of them. Honestly, if they carry on like this, next couple are easily theirs as well.
That I would have to agree with. Also, the panelists pretty much predicted 2-1s for the day, but we will still be seeing a lot of 2-0s. I guess that's just the team knowing the ins and outs of this game, this Wild Rift. But that has been it for this series. We have been your casters. We're going to hop into a very short break, and when we come back, we will have the panelists tell us what happened in that game number 2.
Guys, I'm going to get out of the way quite and quickly. Not a good day for the Preds on the desk, is it? Not a good day for the Preds at all. Not a single one right. Do you feel bad?
I'll tell you what I got right, though. Throughout the day, Hell's predicted a lot of 2-1s.
Yeah,
and
okay.
I will admit that we both agreed on the result, and we were both wrong about that. But I will submit to the jury that I predicted all 2-0s, and that's what we got.
Okay, so you're partially right, but you're still massively wrong. All right, so let's just jump into breaking around that game.
To be honest,
after I got my little digs in and my little barbs. Okay, so Level 1, Hells. We had some shenanigans. We gave a double kill over to Tribe. What is going on there? Let's pull the drawing board up. And not the drawing board, sorry. I just want you to talk about that level 1 fight. We'll come to the drawing board in a bit. Why can this composition just go in so confidently for the level 1?
So Tribe Gaming has the composition with Pantheon, Galio, and Braum. And these 3 champions are all champions that can just catch out a single enemy very, very easily. And like they completely executed that perfectly, where they did the 5-man invade and they got those kills. So onto the drawing boards right now. Here we got a clip where Team Queso actually did make a really good play. They initiated the fight perfectly. And I want to say in this game, Tribe Gaming played it really well. They really played their fights well. But in this fight, I'll show you that Team Queso actually did a perfect engage, which could have led them to victory, you know, engaging a team fight like this. So take a look at I want you guys to take a look at this guy over here, which is the Rakan. So let's take a look at how he creates the fight over here. So he uses the ultimate, and here you get it. The ultimate and the second ability. You can already see how strong this combination is. And like here, it's so powerful, and it gets followed up by the Camille ultimate on Leon. They just cannot do anything in this point. They're just completely pinpointed down. And the only thing that they could have potentially done is this guy over here, which is the Galio. He is too late to the fight, as you can see. Like now he uses the ultimate over here. But what is it really gonna do? It's too late. He should have been there a bit earlier. But the thing is, he was not ready for the fight because they didn't expect the initiation from the Rakan. And this is how Team Queso should have initiated the fights instead.
All right,
I do want to highlight...
Sorry, I was going to say, you obviously want to jump on here about the Pantheon and Galio, because I know that excited you a bit about this team.
I'm so psyched about that. And I do want to highlight something that happens towards the tail end of that fight, where the Galio is late, as Hells is correct to call out. But you can also see the flip side of that, which is any other split laner, you just don't get help. Anyone else is in the top lane, you just don't have the 4th man coming in, which I would say probably mitigated some extra losses. And that is the strength of this composition. At any time during this game, Tribe were able to have 2 extra engages, essentially. And sometimes that meant that you could have the Galio and the Pantheon playing in opposite lanes, shoving on the side. Sometimes that meant they're part of the team fight and they can get distracted, clean up the backside of the fight, and then ult back into the front of the fight to continue the chase. It's very similar to what I was talking about with the Janna, where you can kind of cancel those cycles of cooldowns and say, okay, everyone is resetting, everyone is regenerating their cooldown timers. I can ult back into the front lines and I can keep this fight going by myself. That's the kind of composition that really excites me because it just adds some extra versatility.
All right, thanks for fanboying over the Galio Pantheon, TJ. We always appreciate you can give your insight. Let's pull in Snitch from Tribe Gaming, have a quick chat with one of the winners. Let's see if we get him in. Snitch, hello, hello, hello. Congratulations, you're the winner of the first monthly final. That's got to feel good, right?
Thank you. Yeah, it feels pretty great. My apologies. You were meant to get Leon, but he actually ended up getting too nervous at the last second to do an interview. So sadly, you're stuck with me again.
I enjoyed our last talk. I'm happy to have you back once more. Really appreciate it. So, Snitch, I got to talk about the level 1 first of all in game 2, picking up 2 kills off of that dirty aggression, I'm going to call it, just because you had the Pantheon Galio. Was that always the game plan, to just go in hard early and try and take some space in the river?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can see from us leaving the base, you know, we're all exactly together, walking on the exact same spot. Like, we practiced these sort of styles before, especially with this sort of composition, where you have, like, you know, Galio Torn, Pantheon stun, Braum passive. Like, we have so many ways to lock them down. So, yeah, we were just immediately looking for any opportunity to get kills from level 1.
And I just want to talk about generally the entire monthly final here for Tribe Gaming. You were touted as one of the favorites. You've delivered on that expectation as well. People were saying, hey, Team Queso might have been able to come back into this grand final. But your performance in the grand final seemed more dominant than in the upper bracket final. Was there anything that you guys worked on between the 2 matches, or anything you prepared specifically for Team Queso to produce that result today?
I mean, I think we just made some adaptations in draft. Mostly Queso were playing a very similar style a lot of their games. Galio mid lane, working with like an Olaf or the Lee Sin or the Camille, like just, you know, having strong dive compositions that the Galio like helped support. So we felt like if we targeted Reese and took him off that, it would help. I think another adaptation we did is like prioritizing Braum a bit more because they were playing a lot of Rakan, and traditionally Braum's quite a good matchup in that regard. So yeah, we just kind of like assessed what they've been playing throughout the tournament because they kind of had a very similar draft pattern throughout all of it. And then we decided to make some changes when we came against them again.
Okay, and obviously now you're going to be signing up for the July qualifiers, which anyone can do at originseries.com, hoping to get back to the July monthly final, which we expect to see you at as a returning champion. What are you going to be working on in the off-season? Is there anything that Tribe have spotted over the course of this tournament that you need to go, we won, but this could be better?
I mean, honestly, I think for the most part, we're really happy with how the team is going. I mean, we're always looking to improve, you know, when it comes to communication, it comes to drafting, it comes to champion pools, like we're always pushing ourselves. But I think as a team, our fundamental strength is just that we're five very talented players. Everybody can play like a plethora of champions. So our draft is always very diverse. We have a lot of different strategies we can use. I mean, Wild Rift is always an evolving game. There's patches every 2 weeks, you know, so I think the main thing is just, you know, keeping up with patch changes and just making sure that we're, you know, either with or ahead of the meta in some cases, and just carrying on playing how we've been doing.
All right, and I'm going to give the platform over to you now to say any words you want to your team, fans, family, whatever you feel fitting. Just, you know, deliver a message to them. The stage is yours.
Well, a huge shout out to my team, of course. We've all been working really hard for this. I'm super proud of everybody that we managed to pull through and win, you know, the first important tournament. Like, it's pretty amazing. Big shout out to Tribe Gaming, all of our sponsors. You know, we appreciate all the support. They've been with us pretty much since day one of this roster. They've always been helping us, giving us resources, you know, anything that we need to help improve as a team. And, you know, shout out to all of our fans. You know, I've got a lot of fans on my stream, I'm sure. I've seen a lot of my emotes in the chat today. Love you guys for coming out and supporting us. Thank you so much for tuning in and checking out our games. Hopefully we can come back in July and make you proud again.
All right, we hope to see you again, Snitch. It's been an absolute pleasure. So congratulations, go celebrate the win, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So, lovely talking to Snitch. We could have got Leon. But apparently, I don't know how much of that is just team banter, or whether he genuinely didn't want to turn up. That's fine. I'm not going to dwell on it too much. But that's it. That is the first monthly final done. In the books, rubber stamped. We're going to have congratulations to our winners, Cut Esports. We have Unicorns of Love and Tribe Gaming as our first 3 grand final winners of the monthly finals. That's going to net them points, it's going to net them prize pool, and it's going to be keeping them all ready to the long game when we're looking towards that offline event later on this year. Hells, TJ, let's take a look back at the action today, because we're going to throw it all the way back and look at the Cut Esports victory as we start to roll our highlight package. And Cut Esports, this was an upset. We were expecting Sunlight Team to come out and win this one as convincingly or not. Sunlight Team were definitely listed as the favorites here, Hells.
Oh yeah, but Cut Esports, like beautiful rotations. It's like their team played really well, but I also want to say that Sunlight Esports didn't do a good job at countering it, but definitely an upset. They did so well, and especially the jungler. Beautiful play from Cut Esports in that series.
And we got a lot of really... We got a really good example of a lot of the compositions I love when we moved into this second series, especially because we get the Nami Xayah composition. We get the aggression from the Camille being used as utility. And basically everything UOL did is, apart from this, which looked a little sketchy, is exactly what you need to do to shut down a team like Trovo Nova, who want to get aggressive, want to get in your face, want to rely on their mechanical skill to outplay you. They banned away a lot of Poseidon's macro play, and then they carefully took apart the team fights.
And then Hells as well. That last series we just saw where Tribe Gaming just proved why there was so much confidence in that roster when we were looking towards them coming into this tournament. They were marked as the favorites. They delivered on that expectation. Why are Tribe Gaming so good?
I mean, just take a look at the players. Absolute class. Every single player on the roster is just so damn good. Like, they are top players by themselves already. If you put them in a solo queue squad, they can already carry themselves top elo. And if you put them all together with a good team, good organization, everything, you get this. An absolutely dominating squad. Just beautiful play from all of them.
And we all were having that glimmer of hope for Team Queso to come back into this one. Team Queso unable to deliver to kind of expectations we saw. They still performed well. We saw glimmers of hope in the gameplay, but Tribe were just a cut above the rest when it came down to it. Let's go ahead and review the brackets for one last time. See the journey over the course of this monthly final. We're going to start with Group C, I believe, and we're going to pull that one up so you can take a quick look at the path to victory here. Cut Esports, the redemption, the revenge they gained here. They got knocked into the lower bracket. They came back swinging a 2-0 Sunlight team and put themselves on top for the first ever monthly final. Moving over to Group B, Unicorns of Love. Just dominance from them. They ran the upper bracket gauntlet, got themselves the victory convincingly against Trovo Nova. And then when we go to Group A, it's the exact same story. Tribe Gaming dominate the upper bracket. They get challenged by Team Queso, but then they put all the doubters to bed with a victory there. That is it, though, for the first ever monthly finals for the Wild Rift Origin Series. It's been an absolute pleasure, but we still got 2 more of these monthly finals to go. It all kicks off again in July. You can sign up today by going to originseries.com, and you can have a chance at earning a space through qualification for next month's monthly finals. You can rack up points, you can rack up prize pool, all towards the end game of this entire tournament system. TJ, looking ahead to July, what is going to excite you here? What are you looking forward to next month?
Look, we were wrong a lot today. And I'm using the we here to both kind of drag Hells in with me, and also the royal we for myself, because I was wrong a lot today. But I think a lot of things we were wrong about were upsets. We predicted in the second 2 series, to be clear, the team that had 1 less coming into the series to come out on top. And the reason for that, speaking for myself at least, is that a lot of the teams in the European Wild Rift scene right now are, it feels like, growing by leaps and bounds between every time I see them. We're seeing a lot of very exponential improvement, both in terms of how the teams are thinking about the game as teams, in terms of macro play, as Hells was talking about in that last series, where both teams were keeping up with each other, and that game was truly decided by map awareness, and in terms of individual microplay, where we're just seeing some sick gamers. So the thing I'm most excited about as we head into the next Origin series is how these teams will have grown, and maybe some of those upsets will look a little bit smarter predictions given time.
And for you, Hells, what are you looking forward to next month?
I mean, honestly, I'm looking forward to, all these teams just showing up and winning against those #1 teams. I don't want to see the same winners. Even though I love the teams, I don't want to see Tribe Gaming win. I don't want to see Cut Esports win again. I don't want to see Unicorns. I want to see new teams rise from the ashes and take those wins, right? I want to see the new teams, just like Queso. I'm really happy to see what Queso has done this tournament. Like, we never even talked about Queso, and they made it to the top 2, and they almost won against Tribe Gaming in that game before. So I want to see that again in the next series.
Well, that's all we can hope for, and that is all for the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us for the inaugural monthly final in the Origin series. We want to see you back here next month to see how these teams have developed, if there's any new rising stars. But for now, thank you and good night.